The following program contains humor that may be veiled or otherwise confusing. If you don't get a joke, just pretend you're at an office party and your boss is explaining crypto to you. Smile and nod. Smile and nod. Cocktails are almost here. Just smile and nod. Tonight's show is a banger and a half, so hit that like, smash that subscribe. Chances are ridiculously high that the following program is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. It's Third Person Thursday. Joe Neerman is your host, aka Good Lawgic. Hope you had a phenomenal day. Joe actually took a nap today. Unintentionally, Joe fell asleep. It's true. It's true. This is just like that time. My grandson told me a phenomenally interesting story. Or when people discuss crypto with Joe Neerman is very likely to nod off. And Joe can admit it, that Joe just understands principally what's happening there with the whole crypto thing, understanding principally what's happening. Still don't get it. We, as in the royal we, which is what Wednesdays should become, the royal we. We have a banger of a show tonight. Joe didn't remember that intro. Don't remember making that intro. That was an intro that was made, I don't know. It's gotta be Joe. I guess Joe don't know. Joe don't know. At least we don't know. 18 months ago. No recollection of making that. It's pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Sometimes Joe will air an intro and have no clue what's coming. As we're dusting off some of these old things that are in my backlog here. Anyhow, want to get to Trust me. That's the goal. YouTube's goal is that no one should know. So I should throw this out here while we're all here and on topic of that. Joe has a channel, has a locals called goodlogic.locals.com. Indeed, he does. And wherever you are, whether we are on Rumble, whether we're on locals, just listen to the cartoon. Little cartoon knows what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. He doesn't really hit the like. We know. Joe knows. But if while you're here, it seems as if there's a concerted effort for people to remain hidden. Share it out there. This way people can actually join you in enjoying one of the most unusual podcasts anyone's ever seen. Today we have a banger of a show. As I said, we're going to be covering here. Let's go through a little breakdown here as to how this is supposed to structure. We're going to start with the Stormy Daniels testimony, breaking it down. There was a thought process of actually going through the transcript from the stuff from day one, just reading it through. Because all most people really know, is what was reported by Matthew Lee or Adam Klasfeld. But what actually happened inside the courtroom, unless we go through the transcript, we don't know what was said. There's only snippets that are caught. Speaking from personal experience, Joe can tell you, taking down that information really fast, impossible, not possible. No human does it. Joe's had the privilege of sitting next to Matthew Lee while he's tweeting out and sees that He does a phenomenal job of catching a ridiculous amount, and what he's catching is about 20% of the trial, at best, and sharing out there. And when Joe does it, Joe gets like 10 to 15%, not nearly as fast. So there's a lot there. If people want me to go through the transcript tonight, just let me know, holler if you think that's something you'd enjoy to hear. I believe the transcript is out. So it's not a matter of learning shorthand. It's not a matter of learning shorthand. First of all, no, I'm not. Joe's not going to learn shorthand. Second of all, you're tweeting it out. You can't tweet out in shorthand. I mean, is there even such a thing as shorthand? Shorthand is a specialized key thing. Don't they have specialized key things? I don't know what's happening. This is probably true. This is probably true. It's probably closer to 5%. So, anyhow, let's look at Inner City Press's coverage. Let's look at Inner City Press's coverage. I'll start with that here. Present, share screen, entire audio there. Let's get it on. Matthew Lee, the based Matthew Lee. Trump comes in, blue suit, blue tie, chats Todd Blanche to his left, Susan Nechelis. Joe calls her Nechelis. Mid-cross of Stormy is in the lead counsel's chair today. Trump turns, talks to her, gesturing with his right hand, waiting for Justice Merch. Drum roll. Worst drum roll ever. Master of the worst drum roll ever. That is the worst. All rise. Clerk, this is the people, the state of New York versus Donald J. Trump. Justice Merchant, good morning. There's defendant exhibit J26, an arrest record of Miss Daniels. We move to preclude that. No conviction? The prosecutor doesn't want that arrest in there. Usually it's not going to come in if it's not a conviction. Trump's lawyer, Nechelis, says, I plan to ask about what her ex-husband accused her of. No. This one I agree with Justice Merchant. An accusation from a husband or some other person who don't like, no, not happening. That one I'm going to give Merchant as Trump's team. You're not going to get that. Okay, that's not cool. That's not cool. That's not funny. It's not funny. No, I went to yeshiva, so that'll come. So okay, yeah. After we finish Stormy Daniels, that's when we're gonna get into the Article 78. Then we go into the weekend news. That's the plan. That's the plan. First we want to do. There's not a massive update. But Joe had a lengthy conversation with the clerk of the court today, got a little bit more down as far as how the timing goes on things, certain procedural issues that were discussed, and things of that nature. So, but we'll bring that up later. All right. So Nechelis says Nechelis not going to get anything about how the husband was mad at her or something. Where do you stand on a limiting instruction? Can we wait to the end of testimony? Yes. Get the witness, please. Stormy takes stand. Get the jury. All rise. Jury entering. Susan Nechelis starts with Miss Daniels. You recall that President Trump was elected November 2016? Correct. You recall you did an interview and said the claims you had sex with President Trump was hot garbage. Objection sustained. You know what the objection was? Objection likely is hearsay? I'm not sure. To refute her testimony. Interesting question. Maybe it's the word BS. I don't know. Do you remember sustained in 2016? Then you wanted to sell your story. You please approach. Whispered Sidebar. Blanche remains at the defense table with Trump, also whispering. Everyone's whispering in the room. Objection sustained. Neshler says, you wanted to sell your story to President Trump, right? No, I want to sell my story to the media to get my story out. You made the decision for your lawyers to sell it. Your choice, right? I wanted to do a press conference. You also wanted money. You're a money-grabbing hoe. But you didn't. You spoke to Slate's Weisberg about your supposed affair with President Trump and that you were negotiating with Cohen, right? He was my backup. Okay. This comes across as testy. Look at this exhibit. Not evidence yet. You told Weisberg that as an alternative to being paid for your silence, you want to be paid for your story, right? I don't remember saying that. But you told Weisberg that the better alternative was to get my story protected by a paper trial without putting my family at risk. A paper trial? Okay, you told Weisberg that your motive was President Trump having come out against gay marriage and abortion. Got all sorts of different issues with President Trump. You're not a big fan of the president. False. Put up the transcript already in evidence. Voice of Keith Davidson, heard before the trial. Objection, sustained, please approach. Plays another clip in evidence. Apparently, Neshlis over there made a mistake and played the wrong clip by accident. Trump's lawyer, Neshlis, let me show you the contract. You know it's a legal agreement, right? I'm not an attorney, but yes. The recitals say you had come into confidential information. I signed this based on what my attorney said I should do. The old attorney said I should do it. I don't know anything. My attorneys told me to do this. Okay. I guess that works sometimes. That's for some people. Nationalist, but you signed it. You released claims, right? Yes. I co-negotiate, right? That's what I was led to believe. Here's the Wall Street Journal article. You knew it was coming out, right? Keith Davidson told me something was coming out. And you put up a statement denying you had sex with President Trump, right? Reading it. Now, let me see if I can pull up here. Let me see if I can pull up here something for you. Let's see what it would be here. Oh, that's not good. Let's try this way. Yeah. Could pull up. I do want to pause for a moment. Let's pause for a moment. I want to pull up Adam Classfeld because he shares his evidence. He shares the evidence as he's watching it. Thought I had it here, but don't. So I have to pull up Classfeld myself. This is some important. I think this is important evidence for us to actually look at, so we know what the jury's looking at. You get a lot better context as to how this conversation is going if you know what they're actually talking about. So, I'd like you to have the best confidence. There we go. This is what Adam Classfeld says they pulled up. This is a statement that was read out in court. January 10th, 2018. To whom it may concern. I recently became aware that certain news outlets are alleging that I had a sexual and or romantic affair with Donald Trump many, many, many years ago. I am stating with complete clarity that this is absolutely false. My involvement with Donald Trump was limited to a few public appearances and nothing more. When I met Donald Trump, he was gracious, professional, and a complete gentleman to me and everyone in my presence. Rumors that I have received hush money from Donald Trump are completely false. If indeed I did have a relationship with Donald Trump, trust me, you wouldn't be reading about it in the news. You would be reading about it in my book. But the fact of the matter is, these stories are not true. So that's an important thing to get in front of the jury there, right? I think so. So she says, I didn't write it. I was told I had to sign it. That's what she says. I didn't write it. I was told to sign it. You denied the rumor because it wasn't a rumor. It was true. How is that English? How is that English? You deny a rumor, meaning that you're saying that the facts alleged in the rumor are not true. Not that you deny that it's just this is so stupid. Like, how stupid does she think people are? Because it wasn't a rumor, it was true. You signed this too on January 3rd, 2018, right? Yes, let's go to the next one. Back. That's not it. Gentlemen may concern, over the past few weeks, I've been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship that I had with Donald Trump many, many, many years ago. Look how many manys there are. Who else wrote this? Who else writes like that? No one, many, no one would, they would just say many years ago. If this was written by an attorney on her behalf, it would just say many. Because attorneys don't write many, like they're in fourth grade. They just say many. So, yeah. The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006. I think that there may have been, because I don't know that she would write alleged affair. That doesn't sound like Stormy language either, to be honest with you. Which makes me feel like this was some sort of group effort between Stormy, perhaps, and her attorney. Denied its affair's existence in 2006, 20011, and she denied it in 2011. And the reason I call attention to the typo there is because that's another sign that the final product here was completed by Stormy Daniels, not somebody who got a cut of her $130,000 for legal fees. 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. I am not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, as has been reported in overseas owned tabloids. Overseas owned tabloids sounds a little beyond her. I deny this affair because it never happened. I will have no further comment on this matter. Yeah. Please feel free to check me out on Instagram. At the Stormy. So there you go. Make sure if you want to hear someone who basically can't make up her mind as to what truth is and thinks that saying I denied a rumor because it was true makes sense, make sure you check that out. So they read that out. Michael Cohen was pushing you to sign this through Keith Davidson. I did not speak with Mike Cohen directly. Nationals continues. President Trump was denying the affair in 2018. He was not running for office, right? President Trump was trying to protect his brand, right? That's what she really wants to get. If you're the defense counsel, you really want to pound home. This was not about his political aspirations. It's about his business aspirations, which is why it should not be recorded as a even if they've determined that he paid the money, that should not be recorded as political capital, a political expense. I don't know what he was trying to protect. Oh, then why are you here? Why are you here? What is the point? Why are you here? If you don't know what he was trying to protect, who does? How would anyone know? I guess they're hoping that Michael Cohen will finger him for that. Michael Cohen likes fingering, gentlemen. Obviously, by that I mean, blaming. Then you said you had sex with him to make money. I did some free media for free. Anderson Cooper. Trump's lawyer Neschles says, but after you sold a book with your story for $800,000, right? Yes. I also did receive the $800,000. I also didn't receive the $800,000. But so far it came to $930,000, right? I don't care about you. The point is you were trying to get this money. Minus what was stolen from me. That's pretty nice one night there. After the book, you went on a strip tour called Make America Horny. I didn't name the tour. I fought it tooth and nail. Obviously, somehow everyone around her, this is like the perfect victim. Everyone around her is writing her statements for her. Her publicist is forcing her to go out with Donald Trump. This is a very empowered woman right here. This is just a tower of empowerment. A tower of empowerment known as Stormy Daniels. Let's go through. Let's just pause for a moment, okay? She says that she didn't want to go out with him, but she didn't want to have sex with Donald Trump, but she felt weak in his presence. He had too much power. She didn't want to keep going out with him, but her publicist basically forced her to do it. She didn't want to put out these statements, but she was told that she had to do it by her lawyer, and now she's going on this stripping tour that she's losing in her attempts to actually change the name. And it's completely beyond her control. In every respect possible, she's just completely anyone. I don't know why she says Trump is uniquely powerful or intimidating. Apparently, a publicist is intimidating. Apparently, her own lawyer that she could hire and fire at will is intimidating. Apparently, whoever's naming the tour is intimidating. Everyone's intimidating to this very, very empowered woman. Such an empowerful woman. You advertised the tour with a photo from the golf tournament, right? Not me. Oh, someone else is doing it. Okay, everyone else is using your name and using you, and you're just a helpless little sheepdog here. Didn't you say the white men were gone now? Your fan base is gay couples and the resistance. It did change, but I was not selling myself. Oh, okay. I don't even know who's selling me. This is someone presumably different from whoever's naming the tour. You were selling a story of supposedly having sex with Donald Trump, right? You made $200,000 for appearing on This Surreal Life, right? Yes. In a documentary on TV, you were paid for the rights to your book, right? They didn't have to. They didn't have to pay for the rights to her book. You had sex with the cameraman? I started dating him and he became a husband. But you were married at the time. I was separated. Oh, okay. This is just like Nathan Wade. By the way, I plan on watching, Joe plans on watching Nathan Wade near the end of the show tonight. Joe will be doing that. As will you, if you stick around. So, apparently, separated means adios, amigos. Where did you deposit the money? Into my business account. It covers my security. At the viewing parties, you were treated like a hero. They say you're saving America? That's in strip clubs. So she's the one who's saving strip clubs in America, I guess. The viewing parties are polarizing. You said you'll be instrumental in putting President Trump in jail. Show me where I said instrumental. Show me where I knew how to spell instrumental. Here's your tweet, making me the best person to flush the orange turd down. That sounds like something Stormy would likely write. It doesn't say Trump, just orange turd, if you want to interpret it that way. Okay. Can we see the tweet? Adam, let's see if he has the tweet here. This is what, This is where Adam shows his colors, by the way. This is why reading Adam is just an amazing thing. It's, you don't get questions. And look, I give him credit for getting information inside the courtroom, which everyone wants outside the courtroom. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But when I read stuff like this, it just seems so defensive. Asked about her remarks about the more resistance supporter attending her shows, Daniel replies, "We don't get the question from Neshalis. The climate in the club definitely changed, but she said that she didn't sell herself to a different demographic. I just did the same job I always did." Asked whether full disclosure spoke about her alleged tryst with Trump, Daniels replies, "It was the story of her life." It was laughed in the courtroom after Daniels' deadpan. "No, nobody would ever want to publicly say that," referring to her alleged tryst with Trump. Daniels, "You're trying to trick me into saying something that isn't entirely true." What happened? What was said right before that? See, this is why when I'm watching Adam, I'm reading Adam, I'm like, I don't feel as if I'm learning what's happening in the courtroom. I feel as if how he's basically trying to present a basis to accept a certain narrative. You became a hero of those parties, Trump haters, haven't you? I don't know. I can't speak for those people. Dennis said, it's like, sharply replies, "Show me where I said I'd be instrumental in putting Trump in jail." Everything about this is just weird. This is why I can't read Adam. When I read it, I'm just like, it sounds like something Vox would write. Sorry, Adam. I've met Adam. Nice guy, but very much a New Yorker. Very, very, very much a New Yorker. When I was covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, I met him a few times. This is the tweet. So the Pink Elephant Room said, "Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, a.k.a. the human toilet, are their star witnesses." Exactly, make me the best person to flush the orange turd down. She wants to pretend that's not about Donald Trump, obviously. See, this is what I'm saying. Do we get how disingenuous this has to come across? That she's snarky on the stand saying, if you want to interpret it that way, that's referring to Donald Trump. But if you read Adam, it's like, oh, everyone there had to believe her. Obviously, she seems very, very, very credible. We don't hear anything as to how the questions are pinning her down. It's just, here's her moment of defiance where she just seems so incredibly strong. There's just a lot of angle that I feel is coming. As opposed to getting back and forth here, Stormy. Now, and by the way, I want to be clear. Any angling framing comes from both sides. Definitely. In fact, respectfully, I submit, it's almost impossible not to do some level of framing unintentionally. So what I want is, before I finish talking about Adam, Joe should just point out to you, it's not intended as a knock on Adam. Joe doesn't think that Adam really even sees that what he's doing. It's not a matter of, let me fool my audience into believing something. Joe's fairly positive that Adam is doing his best to portray what's happening in the courtroom to the best of his abilities without it consciously being motivated by an agenda. Joe would be shocked to learn otherwise. Seriously. From meeting him, the take that Joe had is that Adam looks at himself as a journalist and feels dedicated towards giving the most even perspective that he can. So, and that is my way of praising him, that the dude is hardworking and does his best. Sometimes it's difficult to see. To me, some of it comes across as being having a deep-seated bias that he's struggles to fight through, and genuinely struggles. And for the fact that he struggles, that earns my admiration, my deep admiration, because most people don't struggle. Most people don't try at all. So I give my deep admiration to that. I'm fairly certain that where we see this sort of thing from him, he doesn't realize that that's something that is remotely visible, and probably doesn't, and it has, and likely has zero intention of infusing that. Meaning, if Joe sat with him for a while and said, hey, this is where it becomes apparent, and Adam recognized it, Joe thinks that Adam probably would try to correct it. So, which many journalists would not at all. In fact, I would say Joe would say the majority of journalists would not, but Joe thinks Adam would. Still, right now, the final product is difficult to watch. All right, I offer you a tweet. So then we have here, it doesn't say Trump, just says aren't sure. Then Neshless offered another tweet, and Stormy Daniels says it's to his suspended account, so I don't know. I object, Your Honor, may we approach? Whispered Sidebar. Does Adam have the next one also? Possibly he does. Oh, so you see, and this is, I told you, Matthew Lee's trying to get more. This leads Neshless asking for clarification on the errant church to whom Daniels was referring. Joe was wondering why there was no follow-up, but Adam caught the follow-up. She acknowledges that that's referring to Trump. She pushes back at the implication that it's about her supposedly instrumental in putting him in jail. Daniels coolly, factually, and with a hint of indignation, I responded to 100 tweets like this, calling me names. I mean, come on, Adam. Daniels coolly, factually, and with an air of bravado and a hint of indignation, I responded to hundreds of tweets like this, calling me names. Neshless turns into a series of questions on Daniels' merchandising. Sorry, I was going to come back to that later. Okay. Let me just pause and catch up in some of the tweets that are hanging out here. Stormy didn't fail. You're thinking like a lawyer living in a free country. You're up about how Stalin and Hitler ran show trials. Testimony is relevant. Okay, maybe. That's a very black pill perspective. Could be. Love you, Joe. Just poking fun. You're about the same age as my parents. My mom took stenography class in school, like shop class. It's a dying profession. Thank you for the tip, Aaron. That's very kind of you. Your Honor, based on the extent of my client's professional experience, is it simply not possible for her to be gagged by anything, really? I see what you did. Yeah, I know he pronounces his Neckles. Doesn't seem right to me, though. Don't seem right to me. I have many thanks for your efforts to the Trump case. Can that work? I guess so. My publicist told me to super chat you until I pass out. Oh, was it good for you, Wrestler Town? Was it good for you? It's good for me. Robin says, Joe, is Denzel Washington said to Ethan Hawke in 1979 Monte Carlo movie Training Day, my digger. Is that really true? Denzel in 1979? No. He was a little kid in 1970. Maybe 1997? My digger. Speaking of diggers, Digger 007. Okay, my first chat wasn't the right color. I was trying to put this on the Give, Send, Go instead of here. Put that link at the top, Joe. Thank you. Kindly. Joe always forgets this. So Joe is so bad at marketing. Terrible. Embarrassing. It's a joke. Marketing. So bad. Well, remember that now. To support the Ungag Trump cause. Kindly visit https www.gibsongo.com/Ungag Trump. Oops, I typoed on that. Copy, paste, pin message, throw it into my, make sure everyone got it. All right, we're good to go now. Thank you for reminding me. All right. Trump lawyer nationalists offer your tweet. Fine. They approach. They have a nice conversation with the judge. Trump's lawyer nationalists on Twitter, you celebrate and tried to sell merchandise in your online store, right? You have a store? Sure. You wrote, don't want to spill my champagne, merch orders pouring in, right? This is to show, this merch is the hating on Trump merch. Point being, everyone here is trying to get rich off Trump. That's all this is. A whole bunch of folks who are looking to basically hate on Trump and grift off of the TDS sufferers. Let's grift the TDS sufferers as hard as we can. This was you shilling your merch, right? I'm doing my job, not unlike Mr. Trump. So that's a yes. You are shilling your merch. Your merchandise is you bragging getting President Trump indicted, right? I got President Trump indicted? You're making $40 for Stormy Saint of Indictments candle? I only make about $7 a piece. Well, you're getting ripped off. Here's the Stormy Daniels political power comic. I didn't write it. You're selling the rights to it. Who cares if you don't say you're selling it? Yes. That's a, you know, she's being presented as being so compelling. When you actually read the exchange from Matthew Lee, you can see how stupid this sounds, that how incredible, meaning when I say incredible, lacking credibility, she sounds with, well, I didn't write it. You sold it. Yeah. Of course, no one thought you made the cartoon, for crying out loud. I didn't write it. Oh. Now she says, you're writing 2 books. What are they about? The rock star porn star about my husband and novel about a girl from New Orleans. Does she have sex with the presidential candidate? No. Why didn't I think of that? You say you lived in a haunted house in New Orleans where a ghost held your husband underwater. Some say some was a possum under the house. I asked to strike that. Overruled. I'm a little confused what's happening there. And she says, didn't you attack your boyfriend? Objection, we talked about this. This is, yes, move on. So that was probably what the whole at the beginning, when they said that she was probably arrested for that, they said not going to have that come in. But didn't your boyfriend question your sanity? Objection. Boyfriend questioning sanity would be, it's possible the nationalist wants to ask that question just to get, when we look at the context, look at everything in context with each other, that at this point she wants the jury to recognize Stormy not just for being a grifter, but somewhat unhinged. So that's why you talk about the haunted house, you talk about the boyfriend questioning her sanity, and people basically thinking she's a nut job. So, and now we get to just general discrediting of her character. You've been in over 200 sex films, including comps. What? Compilations? What? What's that? Is that like a genre? So you have experience in making up fake stories about sex. The sex is real. That's why it's not a B movie. Now you have a story about having sex with President Trump, right? If I was making it up, it would have been a lot better. You're making money working in sex clubs. I work in strip clubs. Big difference. Okay. Remember Miss Hoffinger asking if you remembered the black and white tiled floor, right? There's nothing wrong with preparing a witness. I would hope any lawyer would do that. So clearly there was question here, which was about how, she remembered that level of detail and didn't they go over it? Presumably there was more of an exchange here that's being referenced. So Nationalist follows up by saying, yeah, you're prepared because they wanted to make sure you didn't contradict your own book. Right? This supposed sex took place 18 years ago, right? And only you and President Trump were supposedly there. Now you can see we're getting towards an end here because Nationalist is basically trying to point out this is a he said, she said. And his bodyguard right at the door. You say you met in Lake Tahoe? Yes. There was a lot of celebrities at the golf tournament. Aaron Rodgers, right? I don't know. Charles Barkley? Yes. Your picture with President Trump was one of dozens of photos you took, right? Yes. Your testimony is that you told Keith Schiller, F no, but then you gave him your number. Yeah. In 2011, you told In Touch magazine differently, didn't you? Show J23, you said President Trump asked for your number. Which is completely contradicting. I want to see if he has that. This is her porn star candle. Saint Stormy. Patron Saint altar candle. $26.50. Oh, it's not $40. Only $26.50. It's a bargain. Daniel is a lot more confident Ryan controlled during this cross-examination than when her testimony first began. Utterly gone is any trace of her evident nervousness and speed testimony from day one. Facing Trump's attorney, she seems in muted fight mode. Daniels lays back diagonally in her chair, looking relaxed and comfortable during the volleys of questions and answers. Let's see if I can find that other... Ah, here we go. There's the number. Daniels notes that the number exchange happened through the bodyguard on Trump's behalf. It is undisputed Daniels had the number for the bodyguard, Keith Schiller. Okay. So I went to the room and was met outside by his bodyguard, Keith, who I met every time I saw him. Keith was always with him. That's how I got in touch with him. I never had Donald's number, I guess. A bodyguard or a handler is an agent? Okay. Let's get back to Inner City Press. You said you rode on a golf cart together and you gave your number to President Trump. I gave it to his bodyguard, but you didn't mention his bodyguard to In Touch. They tried to get me to not mention others. But here in the story, you do mention Keith Schiller. In 2011, you told the interviewer, you said to dinner, yeah, of course, my publicist told me that. This is Frivolous Entertainment Magazine, so you lied. You told Kimmel, we never had dinner. He lied to me. I stayed for the food. You said that? I was invited to dinner. I never got dinner. I'm very food motivated. J28, page 4. What is this from? Oh. So let's see if we can get that. Madam Klasfeld. This is in a different order. So this is a little different, where Adam's catching is they left out a lot of stuff because they couldn't fact check it. I do remember them telling me that. So what she had written to In Touch was, oh yeah, 100%. Didn't even occur to me before. Honestly, I've never watched the show. Yeah, right. Still haven't watched the show. I've never been on The Apprentice. No idea. Honestly. Whenever someone starts a sentence like this with the word honestly, you're full of crap. I traveled too much to watch a lot of TV. I had to use the bathroom, and I went to the restroom, which was in the bedroom. Like I said, it was a big suite. I could describe the suite perfectly. When I came out, he was sitting on the bed and he was like, come here. And I was like, ugh, here we go. And we started kissing. I actually don't even know why I did it, but I do remember while we were having sex, I was like, please don't try to pain me. And then I remember thinking, but I bet if he did, it would be a lot. This is so much less revolting way of saying it over than she said in court. Going back to Inner City Press here. On Anderson Cooper 2018, you said you had dinner with President Trump. I'd like to be shown what I said. You remember the tiles on the floor, but not this. Objection sustained. You said you had dinner, but you didn't. When I came home from having dinner, doesn't necessarily mean putting food in your mouth. You said President Trump sent a car. I don't know who sent it. It was before Uber. Which this I actually agree with, by the way, when she says that. Perhaps she went there expecting to get dinner, and they never ended up having dinner. So in her brain, she's like, she could be saying, I'm trying to be objective here, as objective as possible. Could be that in her brain, she thinks of it as meeting for dinner, because that was the premise under which they started, and they never ended up having that. So that could be why she said it. I don't know. Just trying to figure this out. Nashville says, you told In Touch magazine when you got to the hotel, President Trump was sprawled on the couch watching TV, right? I don't remember saying that. You said sprawled out in pajama pants. He got up. Nashville says, in your book, you wrote that you made him your biat, right? Because you're powerful. I used to think so. That was not the first time someone made a pass at you. There was a bodyguard out there. Okay. In 2011, you told In Touch that when you saw him on the bed, you said, oh, here we go, and started kissing and had sex, right? There are parts I don't remember in between. I also remember it now. Trump is leaning forward watching this closely. Trump's lawyer, Naturalist. In Touch, it doesn't have him saying, if you want to get what you want in Trailer Park. So they left out a lot of stuff. That's the part they left out? So they couldn't corroborate the conversation. Everything else you're talking about what happened in the room. See, this is what doesn't make any sense from Adam Classwell, right? She says here, they left out a lot of stuff because they couldn't fact check it. I do remember them telling me that. That's not this stuff as to like whether or not he referred to her as getting her out of a trailer park or other things like that. Because the rest of the conversation, they could corroborate or fail to corroborate exactly the same. So what dialogue was exchanged there, that some of it they'll put in and others they wouldn't, that doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense at all. It's not like one is any more corroboratable than the one part of a conversation is more corroboratable. Maybe it's just corroborable. Corroborable than the other part, than any other part. Why am I struggling in my brain to think of? Yeah, it is corroborable. Not corroboratable. What did Joe say? Joe said corroboratable? Joe's so stupid sometimes. Joe is liking Third Person Thursday. Even though Joe forgets it far too oftenly. You were, Mr. Nash, let's continue. You were interviews for Slate Magazine in 2018 by Jacob Weisberg. I don't know if that was his name. That's what it says. You told Mr. Weisberg there was no abuse. You were not a victim. Right. You never told Weisberg about blacking out. No, Mr. Trump did not drug me. The worst thing he did was lie. What did he lie about? I don't know what that means. Does Adam talk about that? Many, many years ago. Sort of comparing here. Daniels, where I'm from, dinner doesn't have to mean someone put food in your mouth. She emphasized multiple times to our cross that they planned to have food and it was dinner time. See, this just stops. I struggle to follow him sometimes. All right, going back to New York City Press. Trump's lawyer nationalist says in 2018 you told a reporter there was no pressure. Hey. There was no pressure. Stormy Daniels says my own insecurities made me do it. This story just keeps changing. Nationalist says the American Century Championship had parties and auctions. There were a couple of auctions. In your book, Trump's lawyer, Nationalist, says in your book you said at the nightclub you talked with President Trump for an hour. She says he left first after about 15 minutes. In 2007, you took a selfie in Trump Tower. That's it? Also at Trump's vodka party. So Merchant says, let's take our morning break. And then we're back. Trump's lawyer continues, do you recognize this Making America Horny Tour flyer from your Instagram? Yes. At the golf tournament, President Trump was probably the biggest celebrity. Daniel says, depends. People recognize me too. I'm not a nobody. I'm really not a nobody. People recognize me. I was recognized. Stop saying I was unimportant. I was important. When Vogue interviewed you in 2018, you said you never felt in danger. He wouldn't have run after you. You didn't mention the bodyguard. I don't control it. Vogue is a fashion magazine. Sometimes I give too much details. Well, you didn't, apparently. Giving too much details doesn't mean it's not true. She said... Exaggerate. That's not... And it says, Mr. Cohen paid you, not Mr. Trump, right? My lawyer, Keith Davidson, paid me. But the money was from Mr. Cohen. I understand that, but I have no proof. You have no proof. You have no proof of what? Why are you even here? You know this is a business records indictment. There are a lot of indictments. Ha 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 ha. I see, there's a lot. I gotcha. Zing. Zing. How many of them are still going? Oh, just this one. Really, just this one. Yeah, 2 of them are suspended indefinitely. The Georgia one looks like that we're closer to indicting Fannie Willis than to convicting Fannie Willis than Donald Trump. The Florida one has been held in abeyance forever. The D.C. one is held up until the Supreme Court basically says whether or not there's immunity. So there's really just this one. Move to strike, overruled. Why is that overruled? Why is that overruled? See, how is that? So that's an important statement. There are a lot of indictments. Like, that's not an answer. The question is, do you know this is a business record indictment? She says there's a lot of indictments. That's not even answering the question. No further question. Can we have a sidebar? Yes, approach. Back for a redirect. Let's see how they redirect her. Prosecutor, you were asked if fear was part of your reason for signing the NDA. Trump lawyer, objection, overruled. Your lawyer advised you to sign it. He said, get high, stay high. What does that mean? There was no lawsuit pending when you signed the NDA, right? There was not. Put up people's 1718 text messages. Is she ready to talk? Dylan said, I thought she denounced it previously. She asked you to read that, right? But she didn't ask you to read the very next box where Gina says you never did, right? She didn't. And the in touch says lightly edited. Did she ask you about that? No. Prosk says you didn't tell every single detail to Anderson Cooper, did you? I did not. And then you have a sidebar. You told Anderson Cooper you had sex with Mr. Trump and what happened in the room. Objection. Overruled. Please approach. Of course. Of course. This is. It's not even a veneer anymore. You told Anderson Cooper a lot. I did. When you said you would celebrate when Mr. Trump was selected, were you responding to being called disgusting prostitute? Yes. When Mr. Trump posted, if you go after me, I'm coming after you, was it you? I thought so. You didn't testify to the grand jury in this case, did you? Objection. Overruled. I did not. In Mr. Trump's lawyer's papers in 2017, he confirmed Michael Cohen was reimbursed. Yes. How would she know that? He was telling the truth about what happened with Mr. Trump. Been net positive? Has telling the truth been net positive or net negative in your life? Objection. Overruled. First of all, it's leading. Second of all, this net negative. Nothing further. Yeah, really a net negative. I would object saying she just perjured herself. Recross. These things happen on Twitter, right? Receiving nasty messages from your political opponents? Yes. You wrote that you'll dance down the street when he is selected to go to jail. You were called an aging harlot. Nasty, right? And you jabbed back and you said made $1 million and just paid for your new ranch. Yes, I defend myself on Twitter and I paid my bills. So that sounds like a real net negative right there. That's a real net negative. You said you made $1 million and just paid for your new ranch. When President Trump posted, I'm coming after you, there was a Republican PAC going after President Trump, right? I don't know. No further questions. Nothing further. You may step down. The people call Rebecca Monoshio. So we don't know what happened, if there was any other further rulings based on her testimony or anything of that nature. And she works at the Trump Organization. This was 11 hours ago, so that would put us at roughly 11 o'clock. Noon. I'm going to hold off on going forward with that right now. So what do we take from this? First of all, am I supposed to be going through the transcript from day one? Transcripts come out a couple days later. I think I probably could put my hands on the transcript. Corroboratable is my new favorite. I think it's just corroborable. It's not corroboratable. It's I think it's just corroborable. It's corroborable. Someone referred to someone used the term. I saw this term. Everyone's corroborable. You try speaking for a living, all right? It's not easy. So he corroborable. A bit behind on tonight's stream, but hello from Tokyo. Beers and BS. Welcome, my friend. Prostitutable. Transcript from Tuesday is available. I thought it would be. It sounds like your mouth is tripping halfway through the word. It should be. I think this is right. Corroborable. Someone used the term mirabile dictu. Mirabile dictu. Which I never heard that term before. You never heard mirabile. You never even read the term. I never read the term either. It's a Latin term, which means like, it's like saying fortunately, but with excitement. And yes, what really awesome. Mirabile dictu. It's supposed to, like, you should practically put an exclamation point after it every time you use it.
And you should use it.
Mirabile. I wasn't even sure if it's Mirabile. When I actually wanted to see how to pronounce that properly. This is why this is coming up, because we're talking about me stumbling over. We're talking about Joe stumbling over his words. It's not. It's not cicada. Look at this. What do you look? Good Lawgic is a good guy. I remember him from my days following Robert Barnes 2 years ago. He's a lawyer with mirabile dictu, personal, deeply rooted spiritual beliefs, unlike the lawyers we usually hear about. So, yeah. And when I actually had to look that up because I was very fascinated by the term. It's not every day that Joe learns a new term. Listen to how they pronounce it. I'm giving you all an education, teaching you all something. Dinner and a show. Yes. Where are you?
Mirabile dictu. Mirabile dictu. Mirabile dictu.
Mirabile dictu. That's one way. Let's see if everyone pronounces it that way, because when it comes to Latin terms.
Mirabile dictu.
Mirabile dictu.
Mirabile.
There you go. Wonderful, related, or amazing to say. Mirabile dictu. It's not something people... You don't hear that every day. Let's just put it that way. Anyhow. So this is after this whole thing wrapped up. Saw this and I was like, Joe saw this and Joe was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" This is how MSM is spinning this. So let me run through this. First of all, beer is got this. Hello from Tokyo. Sounds like your mouth's tripping halfway through the word. Could be. Lassie Yahoo says, my main question is why didn't you tunnel your way in for cross today? A lot of these questions you could have been answered. Collaborative, corroborable, complicit lollygagging. Definitely. So how does the media portraying Stormy Daniels' testimony? And we don't know. They probably would have portrayed Amber Heard's testimony this way. I don't know if she was any more convinced. She might have been more compelling than Amber. That's a very low bar. Stormy Daniels received a very good sign from Donald Trump jury. Ooh, what sign? Were they like high-fiving her? They're all sitting there like thumbing up at her? Were they like, watching old movies? What was happening here? Oh, jurors' lack of note-taking during Stormy Daniels' testimony is a good sign that they found her statements consistent and riveting. Consistent and riveting, a trial attorney has said. That's what one trial attorney has said. That's a good sign that they found her statements to be consistent and riveting. Colleen Kerwick, a trial lawyer in New York, spoke with Newsweek about Stormy Daniels' testimony in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. Quote, taking notes are merely memory aids. If there was an inconsistency in Daniels' testimony, the jury would likely note that. As no notes were taken, they likely found her testimony consistent and riveting, she said. She presumably was not even there in the room, but she knows that they found it consistent and riveting. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Trump, the presumptive 2024 nominee, the first former president of the United States. Okay, so I don't care about the rest of this. Kirk said the jurors were observing Daniels' demeanor and body language and trying to get a handle on whether there were any indication that she wasn't telling the truth, aside from the words coming out of her mouth and any other things. They don't appear to have found any noteworthy inconsistency. Maybe she was in the room. What she was saying also wasn't very complicated to need notes. It also, okay, now I'm feeling like I really need to go through that transcript. I really want to go through that transcript now. An attorney who goes by Legal Nerd on X, formerly Twitter, also considered the jury's lack of note-taking a good sign for the prosecution. In my 41 years of criminal law experience, when jurors take notes during a witness direct examination but put down their notepads during cross-examination, that's a very good sign they believed everything the witness said during direct examination. Well, and that's quoting Lawrence Donald saying, I didn't see any jurors taking notes during Trump's lawyer's cross-exam. Were they taking notes during the direct? Oh, we don't know. Norm Eisen, an attorney and legal commentator who was in the courtroom, also said, the jurors didn't take notes during Daniels' testimony. He told CNN Wednesday, I observed the jury put down their writing instruments. They paid more attention during the cross-examination. She's pushing back in this case, and we'll find out when there's a verdict whether the jury believed her or not. I'm not even sure if they believed her, how there's anything there that ties him in. She's saying, I don't know what happened with the money. I don't know why he did it. So when you say believed her as far as what? In what way? What does that mean? This is so stupid. These are the experts. The experts are weighing in. MSNBC Lawrence O'Donnell, who was also in court, wrote on X. We've got this. All right. Tuesday, the defense team asked for a mistrial. Blah blah blah. Okay. You want to know why I think that she failed? Or should I go through? I think not just failed. I think flamed out. I think completely flamed out. My gut says she flamed out. And this is no less speculative. Or should we go through the testimony? Mirabal dictu. Klaatu barada mirabal dictu. All hell, Joe. Keeper of the tracksuits, leader of the following. Thank you, Robert Pennington. Member for 6 months, half a year, Robert Pennington. Robert Pennington. With his PlayStation and Jolt. I don't know what that is, but thank you so much. Thank you. When you don't take notes, the only underlying message is there's no way there's going to be on the exam. Tell Joe we're on our way to second 25K. Now 25, 125. There you go. Thank you. You should read the end of the day after the jury left on Inner City Press. Merchant loses it on Trump's lawyers. I appreciate you calling that to my attention. We'll do that. I appreciate you. In fact, I'm going to do that right now before I go any further and explain. Let's in case that's relevant. I'm going to go forward. I'm pulling this up. This probably would have been around 8 hours ago. 7 hours ago. This right here. Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, we've been informed that people no longer intend to carry McDougal as a witness. Look at the timing of this. Look at the timing of this. They get one run-through Rod on the stand. She goes through her direct and cross-examination, and the next thing you know, the second anticipated bimbo, they say, we're not calling her. We changed our minds. We spent a full day on David Pecker in order to substantiate her testimony. That's the whole reason he testified. And do a complete 180 and say, we're done. We're not bringing Karen up here, which means they probably felt she was less credible than Stormy. And Stormy, this is why I'm saying this is a disaster. So they're saying Karen McDougal will not testify in the Trump hush money trial. Original reporting, despite high hopes to hear from a former Playboy playmate talk about the alleged long-running affair with Donald Trump, Manhattan prosecutors revealed decision Thursday to not put Karen McDougal on the witness stand. The strategy, first disclosed by defense lawyers Thursday afternoon, means that Stormy Daniels will be the only one of the two women who claim to have had affairs with Trump to appear in front of jurors. The plan's only made public after Daniels' minimally detailed testimony on the stand about the one-night stand in July 2006 managed to make a judge uncomfortable, pissed off the former president, left jurors with a seedy impression of the business tycoon. How do you know that left them with that, rather than thinking that she's full of garbage? How does anyone know that? Have you spoken to the jury? Who writes this stuff? I'll tell you this much, Jose Pagliari. Ask yourself, why is this woman not testifying now? Why did they change their minds? You're telling me, oh, they're not note-taking. They must believe it. They found her highly credible, highly credible. If they found her highly credible, why is Karen McDougal not going up there? Why are they not calling Karen McDougal? If they thought this was such a win with the jury, such a win, they don't want any more wins. They're happy to keep the one win. They don't want any more wins. They spent a full day, invested a full day of trial to try and give substantiation to Karen McDougal. A full day to give substantiation to her. And then after they put Stormy up there, they say, we don't want to hear from Karen no more. We're done with Karen. We're definitely not putting Karen up there. Karen's not coming. Karen's not coming. You ask me my opinion. Have I been in the courtroom? No. Do I know what's happening? I'm purely speculating, just like these other attorneys. I'll tell you this. The whole jury watch thing is bogus. It is stupid. When you sit there watching a jury, yeah, okay, you can see one guy giggling away there. We have no idea what he's thinking versus what someone else is thinking. You don't know. You don't know. I saw one juror, as soon as he heard this question, he really perked up. So obviously this changes the entire trial for him. It's like out of like 47 days of testimony, this one guy, this one question, that's what's doing. It's so dumb. Nobody knows anything what's going on. Frankly, it's very possible that many of the jurors don't know what the person sitting next to them is thinking. You're sitting there 50 feet, 100 feet away from them, watching them, and you think that you understand what's going through their heads. It's equally likely that they said, oh my gosh, this woman is so full of garbage and so self-contradictory. I don't even need to listen to any of this. I know that I know I'm not believing anything. I don't even need the rest of this testimony. I don't even need any more cross. I know how bad this is. Anyone tries telling me we should hang Trump based on anything Stormy says, I'm going to laugh in their face. Maybe that's why they put their pens down. Oh, I didn't consider that. Well, my 41 years in criminal trial testimony, this is what how do you even know it's true from your 41 years? Really? From your 41 years? Did you ask, how many jurors did you ask, did you put your pen down because you knew? How many times did you ask that question to a juror after the case was over? I don't understand what the heck that means. You don't sit there interviewing the jury after your trial's over to know what they were thinking and why they put their pens down now or writing other times. I mean, look, maybe you can start getting a feel that in some cases, in some circumstances, I guess that's possible. It's definitely true. That's possible. You're sitting here saying like, oh, that's that, as if she's like the most pivotal testimony when she says, I have no idea why he spent the money that he spent, or even if he's the one who spent it. So everyone's looking at her as the star witness when nothing related to the actual crimes he's charged with even comes up here. The crime is bookkeeping. And what was his motivation for paying her money? She's telling her story as to why it is that she was charging money or looking to get money. But whether that motivation was, what his motivation is, we're no closer to figuring out at all. I assume Michael Cohen's going to sit there and get up there, the convicted perjurer Michael Cohen's going to get up there and saying, Trump told me that I got to win this election. That's why you got to pay this money. Don't worry, I'll pay you back, Michael. Or something ridiculous that convicted perjurers tend to say. But someone's sitting in a gallery watching a juror and or sitting there saying, oh, she looks relaxed now. Oh, Trump's in trouble now. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a certain level of hubris. So I can say with an equal level of hubris. Strategically. After Stormy gets off the stand, a couple hours later, and they had a chance to actually talk about her testimony over lunch, a few hours later, they're like, yeah, we're not going to get Karen. They notify the defense that they're not going to be calling Karen McDougal. Why? Why would that be happening? Now, it could be a whole bunch of reasons. Maybe Karen has become difficult. That's possible, too. That is possible. But I can speculate just as well as these schnooks over at Daily Beast. Sorry, not Daily Beast. That wasn't them. These schnooks over here at Newsweek, who are sitting here pretending that they know why. Oh, they know why the jury's not taking notes. Let's get some experts in here. They're going to tell us. They're going to give us some corroboratable evidence that now we know how the jury's going. Everything's completely corroborated. Oh, but this out. Why is this not coming out? So let me get to the bottom of Inner City Press's thing. They now have only one major witness, Michael Cohen. We asked the gag order to be lifted as to Stormy Daniels, her Lake Tahoe friend. So this relates to me. I want to see what happens here. Her Lake Tahoe friend went on a political show. He needs to be able to respond. Merchant says, let me hear from the people. Okay, she's done testifying. The whole reason he can't talk about Stormy is to keep her from so that she's not intimidated from testifying. Well, she testified now. Prosecutor, the other side seems to be in an alternate reality. The gag order has been to protect this proceeding, which that should never, ever happen, ever. And it's been working. This defendant mounts attacks selfishly. There are safety concerns. Everyone loves saying safety concerns. Changing the gag order now could send a message to other witnesses. The D.C. Circuit Court said it's likely to impact other witnesses. D.C. Circuit Court wasn't operating in New York under New York standards of law or under the New York State Constitution. So there's that problem with this argument. I was speaking with a custodial witness who was afraid. Oh no, he was afraid. His book said, attack to send a message. His book was written 20 years ago. This is the stupidest thing. This is the stupidest thing. It wasn't even talking about trials. Let's take some statement this guy made 20 years ago in a book and just try and use that to besmirch him completely and figure out what his motives are 20 years later. Trump's lawyer Blanche, Miss Daniels was allowed to recount a completely different set of events, such as, she said, I felt the room spin, when she had previously said, here we go, we started kissing, I hope he doesn't try to pay me. Trump's lawyer Blanche, now she said, I blacked out. I don't see a new set of facts. Oh no, please have a seat. What Mr. Conroy said, it's interesting. I wrote down the same portion of the book. Let others see. I can't take your word for it that it's just going to be a response disputing the facts. That's not your client's track record. Your application to modify the gag order to allow your client to respond to Ms. Daniels is denied. The government got her to talk about spanking him. They did not move on. There was a question about what the inside of the bathroom looked like inside. Why? And what was your reaction to seeing him like that? There was a long answer. They asked her what was the difference in height. Why? She said there was an imbalance of power for sure. It doesn't go to motive. She wasn't saying it at the time. There was no basis to ask. We heard all this for the first time. Merchant says, I sustained some objections. Oh, did you? Did you? Did you? Now I really want to see it. You sustained objections? But the jury still heard the question and often the answer. That's why this is so dangerous. This was a dog whistle for rape. So much is false, prosecutor says. The claim of ambush is nonsense. Okay, there were details omitted from InTouch, but in Anderson Cooper, this is not a change of story. Ms. Neschler's thorough but misleading cross tested it. That's the sex happen increases the motivation to silence her. We went out of our way to avoid some of the salacious details to not embarrass the defendant with the details of the sexual act. At one point, she was asked, did you feel anything different? She was going to say, I felt the skin of a 60-year-old man. We could put it in an ex parte submission of more embarrassing details we omitted to not embarrass the defendant. Ms. McDougal was on our witness list, but we never said we intend to call her. Not sure how that's relevant to this. Mr. Blanche, sit down so I can render my ruling. You denied the sexual encounter in your opening. Some more details were relevant. Ms. Neschler said she thought she couldn't object under my ruling, but she could have and didn't. I sua sponte objected to the trailer park. Ms. Neschler hadn't objected. She didn't object to the condom. I have no idea why. I wish that hadn't come in. Then you went into it all about force on cross, drilling it into the jurors' ears. Ms. Daniels said a movie about Roger Ailes made her remember things. I didn't allow that. I didn't think there was a new story here. You attacked her credibility in opening. You didn't attack the business records issue. Your motion is denied. I'll see you tomorrow. Wow. Okay, now I'm really leaning towards seeing if I can get it. That's the Yahoo says, wait, which is easier to dig, the vast caverns of Daniels or the Nathan extravaganza of Fanny Debs? Do you think Wade preferred to choral labor to find the best way to ruin either case? To corral labor to find? I don't know. What's it gonna be, Stormy? Squeaky wheel gets the grease, or does the empty wagon make the most noise? Just pay Trump. You owe him nearly $600K. She does owe him nearly $600,000. Super sticker. Thank you so much, Blue Eyes. I envision hardcore feminists fighting to believe Pecker. Fighting to the chance of believe Pecker. They're gonna be all over it. They're gonna be all over it. Shout out to all the O's. Best record in AL. First in the AL East, top AL team in power rankings, and best of all, half game up on the Yankees. Go Birds. Yeah, it's exciting to announce your pennant win the first week in May. The order of witnesses isn't helping the DA make his case. It's likely he failed outline 101. He's not writing a corroboratable story. This could be my new word, corroboratable. It really should be corroboratable. It really should be. That's the way it should be. Why do you lose the TA? I think it's probably because it's easier to say, but it really should be, can it be corroborated? Rights always fall to the wayside of safety. Too true, my friend. As a resident of Texas, my rights as an aspiring journalist are being trampled in this case because I can't research the prosecution's witness without ID. Hey, nah. That took me a second. Remember, charge is falsified business records. Yeah, apparently no one seems to remember that. But she's the key. She's the key! The key! Should I see if I pull up the transcripts? All right. I feel like I'm going to be reading this for a long time if I start going through this. I don't know. This seems like a really long read. A really long read. The link in Locals chat for transcripts. I definitely will do that. I definitely will do that. This seems like a really long read, which I feel like it can take me like 3 hours to read through this. Stormy Daniels. This is what I'm looking at here. Stormy Daniels. Directed by Hoffinger. This is a really long read. You just skip that part. Very torn. Should glance over here, make sure I haven't missed anything, which I almost definitely did something. No, good. Look at that. AHNC rated. You can rate a stream? Someone rated my Rumble. You can raid Rumble? That's possible? How do you raid someone else's thing? I didn't even know that could be done. I did not know that. How do you raid someone? Thank you, AHNC. I didn't even know that was possible. I had no idea. Well, that was very thoughtful. I appreciate it. Anyhow. This looks really long. I'm not going to kid you. Really long. This goes from page 2561 down to it's 200 pages. Pages. Even if I did a page a minute, if I did 100 pages an hour, which is much more than a page a minute. That's like a page that's more than a page and a half per minute. This would take me 2 hours to do. And I don't see how I'm going to do a page a minute or a page and a half a minute. There's no way that's going to happen. is there? Let me search for, let me see if I can find control. I don't do it like that. I'd have to go into find what page would there be with restroom. I really don't want to do it that way. I don't. I'm very torn. Because the whole thing about the contradictions with her testimony with respect to no, all that other stuff. There's so many contradictions in her testimony that I'd want to go through. You know what? This is what I'll do. I think Saturday night I'll do a read through of her testimony. That's what I'm going to do. Saturday night I'll do a read through of her testimony. That's the best way to do this. And I will share a link to it. I'll share a link to it. What's sidebar before page 47? What does that mean? What's page 47? Right. They even show sidebars in here? $25.38, $25.40, $25.52. I'm looking over here. Yeah, I'm not going to start with that. I'm an hour and 30 minutes, and I'm not starting a 2-hour thing. This will be a 2-hour thing reading this. Okay. I will share a link to this on Locals, along with the other links for this show. And I will, we'll do it. That's the best way to do this. That's the best way to do it justice. Let me update you on my efforts to ungag President Trump. Not much happened today, other than the fact that we got a copy of the order, which permitted us, we are now permitted to have the, our replies were accepted, so they do become part of the record. This is actually more significant than I indicated to you earlier. The reason this is significant is because in our reply is an affidavit that I signed off on, which really helps solidify the standing issue. You may recall that last week, Friday, I had an exchange, a written exchange with Press Secretary for Donald Trump, where I got to ask him certain questions and got a response telling me that they cannot respond due to the gag order. This makes for a far more direct harm to me as a journalist trying to cover this story. So his questions related to persons around the trial, including Lauren Merchan and other individuals. And he expressly told me I cannot answer because of an unconstitutional gag order that was put in place by Judge Merchan. So now the gag order has harmed me directly. This really, I think, will go a long way toward overcoming the standing issue. If it's not included as part of the record because our reply is not accepted, would not have been accepted by the courts, that would have made it that would have given much more of an opening for the courts to reject the application on a standing basis. At this juncture, I think they will struggle mightily to say that I do not have standing. Accordingly, that was a significant thing that we got that. In fact, let me see if I can share that. Here we go. You can actually see, and the other thing I like about this, they made us go down to the courtroom to pull this up. Ron had to send someone down. They wouldn't even email it to us. They said, we're not allowed to email it to you. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how many hurdles they're throwing in front of us. Ron has been freaking out at me, like freaking out. So here's a copy of the order, and it's really just this little stamp thing in this upper left corner here. Make you bigger. Where it says, granted only to extent of permitting the filing of reply papers. So ordered. That's it. This is with respect to the letter application that was filed by Ron Baruti. So the other relief that he is this portion over here. That's the whole order right there. But that's enough. That's enough. That now I really feel like the court will struggle to throw out the case based on standing. Because now my affidavit is in. So that's a big deal. You might be asking yourself, when's oral argument happening? What's the story with that? What's the story with that? Joe, weren't you supposed to be having oral argument? Here's your answer. I called up the court today, spoke with the clerk, whose name I will not give you, and we had a bit of an exchange. I'll just put it that way. We had a bit of an exchange. And I said, I'm calling up to find out what my oral argument is. And they said, you don't get oral argument. And I said, that's not what I was told. I was told I get oral argument. I said, no, the assumption is that it's on submission. So I said, my motion is on submission? They said, it's an application. The application's on submission. So I was like, but there's also a motion. So they said, Counselor, you're going to get a notice as to when it's marked submitted. That should come on Monday. You'll get a notice. Why is it not marked submitted now? I don't understand anything that's happening. Everything is submitted. Everything that anyone's allowed to submit is submitted. We got an order. I don't understand anything that's happening here. No one can explain it to me. Nobody. I'll tell you something else. In locals, it was shared with me. Something else that was shared with me that I will share with you because I brought this up to the court. So I said, all right, we'll come back to the oral argument thing. And he said, and you need to submit in writing a request to have oral argument on the return date for when things are submitted. So I said, I want to talk to you about the NICEF number and why it is that there is no NICEF number. Those of you who are a little bit confused by the NICEF number, just remember that's basically the portal that you would click in order that you can basically click and find my case. And when you find my case, you would find something like this being uploaded by the clerk of the court. And it always has one of these, it has this thing here showing the day it was filed and the case that was filed to. And it has this NICEF, this little received by NICEF. So all this stuff, you would just be able to click on it and then see this entire file, this entire upload. You would see this whole document. That's what you would see. Anytime I file papers on NICEF, they take my papers and this gets automatically attached to the front of it, meaning that it's a computer-generated thing that they attach to the top of it, the date of the filing and the court of the filing, and also this section. Also, this section over here gets thrown in by the court as well. That's the index number and the date received by NICEF. So That's what they take out the 0 and just have 2024-2457. Okay. That is this part here you would see on any filing that gets uploaded to the case. And it would change based on what date it was filed. This part over here, the date would change. But otherwise, this is what you would see on every filing that went up there. So when I file, when my adversaries file, Ron Baruti files, you would see this, and also the docket number. I don't know why it says docket number 1. Why say document number 1? That's weird. It should be like document number 18 or something. Hold on a second. 1 second. Why is that document? You see this? This is what's confusing me. This right here. It says document number 1. This should be like document number 18. 22. Now I gotta check something out. Sorry. This case takes priority over you guys. I'm gonna log into NICEF. I'm gonna open this up in a second. It's only gonna take me. It'll take me less than a minute. I'll listen to my cases. Okay. Let's go to appellate court. Case search. Yeah. That didn't work. Tried searching by this number, 2457, without the 0. That didn't work. Name, Lawgic, search. There's 02457. I check here. They don't even show this here. Where's that filing generated from? Normally it would say who's representing here. I don't know what is happening here with the NICEF thing. We're about to have a little bit more of a conversation about NICEF because I'm going to tell you what happened during the course of my conversation with the clerk. Let's see if this one of these other filing listings they have here. So it's not this one, right? There's nothing here. They made me that's when they made me refile on April 10th and then again on April 12th. Everything, the court keeps deleting everything until now they actually accept it, and that's why we see these things here, that is this ongoing thing with filings from me and from Ron and from adverse counsel. Wait a second. Look at that one more time. Okay, I am here. All right. Fine. Anyhow, I called to his attention that there is a rule. What was it? 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 23. I'm going to give you a little bit more here. Okay. Notice how, remember how I told you there's 4 departments? This is how the departments are broken up. So the first department is Bronx and New York County. New York County is a reference to Manhattan. Second department are these counties here, which is just a handful, but the main ones are really Queens. Really, the biggest one by far is Kings. It's one of the biggest counties in the most active counties in the country. And I mean, New York County is obviously going to be more active, but Kings itself, they say Kings County would be like is one of the 5 busiest courtrooms. New York, I think, is number 1. But in the country, that's how much litigation is ongoing here in New York. But if we look at, is this what I wanted? No, I want the notices. Found it on my phone. I don't want to have to go to my phone and I want you to see what was called to my attention. I shared it with Ron, so I know I have the link here. Give me one moment. Here it is. One 245.3 is a new rule which was updated. I don't know. Here's notices. There's a notice that came out on April 18th. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Episodes, press releases. All right, well, it was called to my attention that there's a new rule that went into effect on April 18th. That new rule affects this rule here that you see, which is 1245.3. Specifically, as of April 18th, all filings that that make the appellate division the original jurisdiction must go through NYSEF. Must go through NYSEF. You have to go through the NYSEF portal. It has to be part of NYSEF. The reason this is so significant is because I keep trying to explain to potential media outlets, this is a real case. It's actually really happening, and there's no way they can find it because they want to validate, make sure that I'm not some crackpot who's making this up. And they know all other cases in the appellate department. You just put in the index number and boom, it's there. They do a search for mine and it's not there. So it makes them sort of question, this guy might be full of crap. He might be some lunatic, right? So that's why having that portal that they can go in there and like, oh, wow, I can actually read all the filings and the opposition, all these different things that these different attorneys are saying with respect to these constitutional and read through their constitutional arguments as I know are filed with the court, rather than taking some guy's word that he filed these things with the court. I actually can read through the official records of the court filings. That's what gives it validation. And that's why this really needs a NYSEF number. So I called him up and I said, it says as of April 18th that, hey, look, Original proceedings, commencement by electronic filing, unless an exempt attorney, everything has to be by electronic filing, not digital submission, electronic filing. Digital submission just means it's like dropping a big email Dropbox over to the court. Electronic filing over here means that you have to be registered, confirm registration as part of NYSEF. It has to all go in the NYSEF system. E-file the notice of petition or order cause petition in supporting cause, and then you serve on all, you get a court case or docket number. Then you serve upon all parties a copy as provided by CPR 2103 and court rule. And that's the timing as far as the notice on everything. And then entry of information by respondents within 20 days of service of the notification docket number. You have to upload when you serve the notification. You actually have to take care and file it up to NYSEF. You have to register, confirm registration as authorized with NYSEF, and enter electronically in NYSEF such contact information, additional information as the court may require. Everything's supposed to be through NYSEF. Everything. Mandatory. That's what their own thing came out with. So I said, as of April 18th, everything has to be done through NYSEF. How are we not in NYSEF? We're not comporting with the, oh, this is not my rules. This is what your rules say. This is what's dictating, this is what's governing you. The clerk said back to me, Counselor, what day did you file your papers? So I said April 16th. He said, right. April 16th. This went into effect on April 18th, 2 days later. So if you had filed on April 18th, everything would be on NYSEF. But everything that predates April 18th, that makes this court a court of original jurisdiction, and again, the designation original jurisdiction is a term that's likely foreign to you. So what does that mean? What does that mean when they say original jurisdiction? That means most cases that come before the appellate court are there on appeal. There was a case at the lower level, which is what we call the Supreme Court. There was a case at the Supreme Court, which was then appealed and then came up to the appellate court where we are now. My case, by statute, had to start in the appellate court. When it starts in the appellate court, rather than starting at a lower court and being appealed up to the higher court, that makes the appellate court now the original jurisdiction. They're the original court to have jurisdiction over this conflict between myself and Judge Mershan. So that makes them the court of original jurisdiction. When they're the court of original jurisdiction, it used to be that they didn't have to go up through NYSEF first. As of April 18th, that changes, and that's why you see over here when they talk about original proceedings, commencement by electronic filing, it used to be you would just go through NYSEF. There was no portal there before April 18th. He said, now there is a portal. So I said to the clerk, sir, I just want to clarify. If I start an Article 78 proceeding tomorrow, that'll have a NYSEF number. He said, yeah. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. This is crazy. This is crazy. I was 2 days early. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So he said, this is not ever going to be on NYSEF, ever. So I'm not going to say this to you again, counselor. It's never going to be on NYSEF. As long as this case is ongoing, it will never be on NYSEF. So I said, okay. What about my oral arguments? When am I getting oral arguments? He said, you don't get oral arguments. I said, that's not what the other clerk told me. The other clerk told me that after the briefs are reviewed, that they're going to give me a date for oral arguments. He says, no, you're wrong. He never told you that. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand what's happening here. Identified the individual by name. And I said, that's the guy who told me it's coming by oral argument. He said, no, that's the date that they tell you when it's going to be submitted. But when they give you your submission date, so that's the date it's submitted. That's the date it's submitted. Let me pull this up for you. I got more. This is when they rejected it. When they rejected my TRO, interim stay application denied, and then they put in this. We put in these dates. We talked with the clerk, not the clerk who I was on the phone with today. Today was a gentleman when I was there on April 16th. It was a woman who was behind the desk there, who was talking with me and adverse counsel, and we worked out these dates. And she's the one who wrote in here. 5/6/24 is the motion date. Opposition 4/29. Reply by 5/6. This is the motion date. Motion date. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. How is that a motion date? I don't understand what that means. It doesn't make any sense. And what's confusing about this, and I had such a lengthy conversation with him about this, and he said, you're going to need to, so we're going to tell you when it's going to be, what the return date is. And I feel as if we're conflating, because you have my Article 78 petition, and then you have the motion, and they're really both seeking the same relief. There's really not any difference between the relief that's being sought. So this is all on the motion. This page that you see here, this page right here, all is relating to the motion. And the motion date says 5/6/2024. Now, in contrast, you have my notice of petition for the whole thing, which was also 5/6/24. So you have both of these things going on here at the same time, both of them seeking the same relief, different procedural elements behind each of them. And I was like, why am I not able to orally argue on the motion? And he's like, counsel, you don't get to argue your Article 78 relief. So I said, I'm not looking to argue my Article 78 relief. I'm looking to argue on the motion. So he said, well, there's no, he said, you don't get that. You need to have, unless you, that's something you have to make a request for. So I said, so I need to make that request in writing. He said, yeah, but you can't do that until we give you a return date. And I'm like, but I had a return date. My return date was May 6th. He goes, no, that was put in your papers. Well, I don't know what this is. What does motion date mean? This is when I put in my papers. This part here happened to be the same day, but my motion date is a different thing. These could have been two different dates. They could have told me I have to reply by by May 4th, and then have a motion date of May 6th. They could have said that if they wanted to. They didn't. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm confused by this. And I said, under CPLR 2219, I was asking for provisional relief, and I need to get a response on that within 20 days. I filed this on May 16th. We're now at day 23. And you can't even tell me when I'm going to get a return date. So he's like, well, on Monday, we'll tell you when your return date is. Well, when is that going to, and that could be weeks out? I mean, I said, I'm supposed to be getting relief now under Article 2219. He said, you got your answer within 20 days. You got it the day you showed up here when you got a rejection. And when she said interim stay, application denied, that was a conclusion of everything. So I said, that's not a conclusion of everything, because there's two different forms of provisional relief I was looking for. There's the TRO, which would have gone into effect right away, but there was another form of provisional relief I asked for, which was a preliminary injunction. And that's not been decided yet. He said, that's decided. I said, I don't think that's been decided. He said, well, that has been decided. So I said, if that was decided, so you're saying my motion is already done and all that's left is the 78? He said, well, we need to have a return date. Okay. As I'm thinking this through, this is what I think he's trying to say. I think this is what he's trying to say. My application for TRO, that was April 16th. And then from whatever the return date is, they would have 20 days on the provisional relief to give me a response. Perhaps that's what he means. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps that's what he means. So I don't even have a return date yet. It's very, very frustrating because obviously every day there's more harm. Every day there's greater harm and there's no relief in sight. There's no end date in sight. There is no end date in sight. So that's where I'm at now, right now. Does that frustrate you? It should. So I've been talking with Ron about what forms of relief we can try and get. I'll tell you right now, he said if I file an Article 78, that'll get NYSEF. I don't know. Maybe I should file an Article 78 to get this thing done. Just feel like it's going to slow everything even further. It's a risk. It's a risk. All right, let me catch up on some super chats here. But that's where I'm at. Let me look at what you guys are talking about because I really haven't been looking for a while. I'm going to start with Rumble. Anything in Rumble? You've been quiet tonight. All right. Sometimes there's a quiet night. That's okay. Sometimes there's a quiet night. But here in Rumble, if I'm talking to you Rumble folks, if you could hit the thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. Just hit the thumbs up. Thank you. All right. To be honest, you just skip that part. I'm not. Oh, the sign there. Transcript page 2552 is start of sidebar before Stormy. Can we pull up that section? Let me see if I pull that. Transcript page 2552. So I just want to go back for a second to Ms. Nishal's objection earlier. She referenced her objection to feelings coming out. Do you also refer to feelings that you want to get into feelings of Ms. Daniels? I think she's going to describe a little bit about how she felt at the time because it corroborates what happened. Look, I think her account what happened on that day is the account that would have been told to the American people prior to the election had she not entered into the NDA. It's significant. Give me a sense of what she's going to say when she talks about her feelings, how she felt that day. I mean, she's going to say, for example, at certain times she felt leaving her hands and toes, that she felt that she was having a panic attack at one point. She'll describe that some details came back to her later after seeing a movie called Bombshell, for example, which I think will help to explain certain times about what she remembered and what she didn't remember. So it's not going to be, they make it sound as if she was traumatized. Like, oh my gosh, like this was the traumatic event that was triggered when she saw a movie later. Oh my God. And all of a sudden she had her PTSD was flashing back at her. Oh no, oh gosh, now I remember the horror of that moment in his hotel room. It was horrible. Oh God, I blocked it out of my mind. Now the memories are crashing back. They're crashing back at me. She'll describe that some details came back to her later at seeing a movie called Bombshell, for example, which I think will help explain certain times about what she remembered and what she didn't remember, or help her, or at least help give an excuse for why it is that her story is always contradicting itself. So it's not going to be in great detail, but I think it's significant because for a period of time, she didn't remember how she got into bed and had sex with him. And so I think it's important to bring out partly how she was feeling at the time because it explains that. And again, the defense opened the door from the start to credibility issues. This is an account that would have been told to American people had she not entered into the NDA. She entered into the NDA willingly, but had she not entered into the NDA, this is what she would have been told to the American people. So what? And that's what they wanted to pay her to remain silent. Judge, it's not the account that would have been told. Her story has changed over time. And if they go into this, yeah, because you have to say what she would have told in 2016 before she saw Bombshell. Because that's what they were afraid she was going to say. If they go into this, we'll have to go into how her story has changed. This is all fabrication. Hoffinger says, this is not new. This is not a fabrication, nor has her story changed. I think we'll be able to establish if the defense goes into this. They're saying that this is a new fabrication. They are prior consistent statements, and so I imagine we will deal with that at that time. To the extent that it helps to explain, so Merchant says, the extent that it helps to explain that she had forgotten some things, that she remembered certain other things, I'll allow it. Okay? To the extent that it goes into how she felt when she got into bed and feelings while lying there, I think we should wait and see what happens on cross-examination. That's why there was all these objections. So in other words, I can't elicit how she felt at the time. That she was, it explains why there are certain details she still doesn't remember. What do you expect her to say with respect to that? Precisely what I said. She's going to say that she felt numb. She didn't expect it to happen. She felt numb. How is that relevant to any of this? At one point, she almost felt like she was having a panic attack and she's not being able to remember some of the details. In some details, she has always remembered, and some details precisely how she got from the bathroom to the bed. Some of them came back to her in 2019 when she saw a certain movie. All right. So I think it explains what we came to defense, what we expect the defense will do, and what we've indicated, and what they've indicated they'll do. So in our direct, we're entitled to bring this out to draw the sting in order to explain. So Neshla says, well, we would not be going there if the prosecutor wasn't going there. So it's not drawing the sting out of. They're putting in a very prejudicial material, and they're not drawing the sting out. They're essentially making this into rape, which is totally improper, that she felt threatened, and Hoffinger says, let me make this clear, and that she felt threatened into doing it. Let me make this clear. She's always said, and she did not say, and will not say, that she will not say that this is an assault, that will not be her account, has not been her account, and never has been. So to the extent that it is that way, the way that the defense is characterizing that, I'll make that clear, and she will make that clear. So Neshla says, Judge, there's additionally another area that I don't know whether the prosecutors intend to go there, but I asked to be precluded from being asked. She has said on various occasions starting in 2018 that she and her daughter were threatened by some random man. That she and her daughter's lives were threatened by some random man in a parking lot, and that's why she didn't tell her story earlier. And there's no connection at all to, I don't believe her story, but there is also just no connection to President Trump in any way in this. And so we asked that that be precluded. Soffinger says, we're not suggesting that it was President Trump who did that. There are a few things that I would say. First of all, the defense opened the door in the cross-examination of Keith Davidson. They put in this clip saying that Avenatti said something about her story of being threatened in a parking lot in 2011 by men as being not true. It's also the basis of the defamation claim, which defense opened the door to on their opening when they said that this is all just about the fact that she owes him some legal fees having to do with that case. So they opened the door. It also goes to Your Honor directly to why she didn't tell her story at various times. So it's a critical piece. They've opened the door to it, and we should be allowed to elicit it. So Merchant says the latter issue that you say they did open the door to. You can step back and just give me a second to think about that. Sure. And Your Honor, if I may ask for a few minutes before we start. And then he says, come back, and he says, on the direct examination, I'm going to ask you to not get into feelings that you just described. You can get into the sexual act that there was a sexual act. Of course, you can talk about how she got there and how she ended up in the room. Just from the facts, you can get into the facts. Just don't ask her how she felt at the time. Just don't ask her how she felt at the time? Well, I don't want to get into how she felt emotionally at the time. I don't want you to get into that on your direct. We'll wait to see what happens on cross-examination. Okay. And maybe at that time we can revisit it. Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, there you go. There you go. That was interesting. Sidebar chat. It gives you a lot of the framing as to like what's allowed and why there are objections. When if you don't get the entire transcript, you're like, I don't know why there's objections here. But then when you see what's been kept out and rulings that the court's making in limine, that you sort of get a feeling for, okay, that's why you object there. Bruce Rice gifting 5 good Lawgic memberships. God bless you. God bless you. Do I have that here? Where are you? I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I have that. I don't have it. But thank you very much, Mr. Rice. Thank you kindly. I got the later one from Master Phillips, but not this one. As odd as it sounds, congrats on being oppressed. Dude, I've been oppressed for generations and more generations. Many. I'm going to say it like Stormy Daniels. Many generations. You get a gag, and you get a gag, and you get a gag. That's right. They're trying to exhaust you and say, go out, bury him in red tape. They have all the time in the world. Remain relentless, Joe. We got you. I'm feeling relentless. I'm just wondering, like, okay, how do I get around this? Like, how do I get past that? Like, just feeling very, very frustrated. Zully, thank you so much for the super sticker. Much obliged. And Master Phillips hit with 10 good Lawgic memberships. That's right, 10 good Lawgic memberships. Mama Pillow, Robbie Mill, Ron is Wrong, Will Call Magic, Prospering Woman, Kobe's, Nancy Lorenz, and Nikki G, Wendy G, and Dumbbeard. All of you gifted memberships to the following. You are now, just understand this, the following is about community unity and greater leadership training skills. And obviously about personal growth. Many people make a very grave, critical error. They really you have to question like their perspective on things, because the critical error they make is they say, oh, good Lawgic, that's the leader of the following. Nope. Good Lawgic is not, I repeat, the leader of the following. Good Lawgic is not the leader of the following at all. And the following is not at all a cult. Type of cult. So it wouldn't even be like embarrassing if Good Lawgic was the leader of following this, because obviously it being very much not at all a cult, type of cult, that there's no reason for anyone to feel any sense of, lack of attachment towards being. As it just happens, Joe is just not the leader of the cult at all. So yeah. All right. Hey, I'm clerking here. Hey. Had a first today, a refund of property tax. Hey, good for you. I get $2 of that largesse right here. That's right, just swing it on by here. I am like just cha-chinging that. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm like richer than Stormy. This case is taking some gray out of the beard for real. No, I'm not going to ask what that's supposed to mean. Not going to ask. Okay, let's get into some other stuff here. It's time for me to get into some other stuff. Time for me to get in a couple of other things that need to be got into. Hey, Cool Frog. Good to see ya. As I peek over into So peek over into Rumble. Speaking of peeking, Good Logic should really be peeking over into my locals, which is goodlogic.locals.com. That's what Kel said, saying, look at this link. This reads like your choice to get NYSEF. Let me see. Yeah, this is what I was looking for before. Thank you, Kel. In the appellate division for its Department of Electronic Filing through the New York State Court's electronic filing system commenced on March 2018 with appeals in commercial matters. Mandatory e-filing was expanded in July 2019. Yeah, this is what I pulled up. This is what I pulled up. You probably shared that with me before I got there. I just didn't see it until now. But thank you. Fan says, if you review Stormy first date, page 47. You probably have it carved out into like that day of the thing. I can't really do that. How long is this thing? Elliot asked me, so I'm getting towards the tail end here, and I promised in locals, which is goodlogic.locals.com, that people who throw in the comments there topics they want me to cover, that I will try to cover them. So you threw out, I said, if you have something you want me to look at, you know, a brief thing for me to look at that you specifically want me to address, throw a link down in the comments below my notification of tonight's show. I'll take a quick look through there. I'm going to look back through there. If any of you are not over there, it's at goodlogic.locals.com. That's goodlogic.locals.com. That's where I'm going to be looking to see if anyone left any comments of things like, hey, Joe, I'd really like you to take a quick look at this. Because I threw that over in locals. Now, what he has there is... This is what Elliot put up. He said, when the Morrison trial jury ruled on self-incrimination challenge to 793E's failure to deliver element, he read any return of erasing potential liability and gained the Fifth Amendment problem. This may be the only court that has squarely addressed failure to deliver. I believe that under this reading of 11, Smith's Espionage Act charges are defective. I don't know anything about failure to deliver. I've never even heard that. I don't know anything about 793E. So I don't really feel equipped to weigh in on that. Certainly not going to try figuring this out on air. Because I feel like I'll probably spend like 10 minutes just trying to dissect conceptually what this is talking about. Elliot's asking whether the Article 78 interlude gives rise to a reasonable inference that, you're saying 18 U.S.C. 793 Jack Smith's espionage charges. Might be worth refiling to get the news out and get some more support. It's a good question, Haley. Very good question, Haley. Very good question indeed. Refiling would start the clock all over again by the time it would be decided, it would be over. The trial would be over. That's the problem. That would make my application purely a show application. I did consider starting in Article 78 and attaching my papers to that new Article 78, saying, hey, I need to get this relief now. Stop dragging this out. So I tell the clerk I was Jewish. No, but I was wearing a yarmulke, so he might be able to tell. It's not that hard to tell. Anyway. Where was I? Okay, so, but I'm going to check again back in locals. If you have anything you want me to cover before I wrap up for the weekend, And Saturday night, I do plan on going through Stormy Daniels' testimony line by line. Line by line. I'm going to see if I can get someone in here so we'll trade off parts. Maybe I'll get 2 people on for the show that night. Have like a little play where we can reenact Stormy Daniels. And I really can have up to 4 people. Because we can have a judge, we can have Miss Initialist, we can have the prosecutor, and Stormy. So I would play one of the roles and then have 3 other people. If you're interested in playing a role, let me know. But I'll see if I can find some pseudo-celebrities, people I know who might be interested in coming on. I think that could be a fun read. A fun read. A fun read. That's going to be Saturday night. That will be Saturday night. I like your thinking. I like your thinking. It's ma'am! It's ma'am! Doolin Dalton. You need to collaborate with that clerk and then get into collaboration. Collaboratively with whomever else you collaborate with, you and Ron. It's not the collaboration, it's the corroboration. That's where things get all confusing. And the corroboratability. For people to be able to corroborate that this thing is actually ongoing. Where all of a sudden comes corroboral. I don't know. Okay. Where was Joe? Where was Joe? Joe was about to cover a couple more stories here. A couple more stories that Joe wants to share with you before we get on out of here. Before we wrap up. Okay. Not that. Yeah, Jack Smith. In case you missed it, Jack Smith basically, you know that picture, that infamous picture of all the documents splayed across the carpet of Mar-a-Lago? It's like top secret, top secret, top secret, top secret, top secret. You probably heard this. Most of you probably know this already. I'll share with you the photo. This photo that everyone has seen. Yeah. What we did not know until a filing by Jack Smith earlier this week is that this photo was completely staged. Not only were the documents splayed across the floor, like they were not, that part's not surprising. The top secret parts were cover pages thrown down by Jack Smith. So all these pages you see here, it says secret SCI, top secret SCI, top secret, that all was put there by Jack Smith and his men, the FBI. They put that out there. And then threw this picture out there that now the entire world has seen. Like this is as if Trump was just about to recarpet his floor with documents labeled top secret across the top of them. Yep. Completely staged. Completely staged. Why would someone stage such a thing? Why would they do that? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps, arguably, one might have concerns that the objective behind that was that they wanted the world to think that this is what Mar-a-Lago looks like all the time. Or that these documents were very obviously top secret, that he should have known that, oh my God, what the hell is happening here? But this was purposefully put out there so that everyone would look in horror at the way obviously top secret documents, almost definitely with nuclear codes and nuclear weapons and all, every best piece of research from our top scientists that were desperately trying to keep secret from Russia was basically strewn across Mar-a-Lago. That's essentially what Jack Smith wanted the entire world to see when he showed this picture. This was designed to poison the American people against Donald Trump and to poison a jury against Donald Trump. That's what this was about. This was a smear job. That's why this picture was staged. purposefully to smear Donald Trump, as if he's sloppily throwing around top secret documents that everyone who's just walking by them would know, oh my God, look at that, a stack full of top secret documents. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's gross. So I wanted to call that to your attention because I thought you should be aware of it. Everyone should be aware that everyone should be aware that Jack Smith is a slimy scumball. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you. One other piece of news I wanted to share with you that I thought you might be interested in. Gateway Pundit reporting that Judge Arthur Engoron is under investigation for allegedly receiving unsolicited advice before fining Trump $454 million. Judge Arthur Engoron is now under investigation after claims surfaced that he received unsolicited advice from a prominent New York City real estate attorney, Adam Lightman Bailey, weeks before ordering former President Trump to pay a hefty $454 million judgment. The investigation by the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct seeks to determine whether Engoron violated judicial conduct rules. In March, Engoron ordered Trump to pay more than $355 million fine and barred Trump from serving as an officer or director of any New York corporation or other legal entity in New York for a period of 3 years. Trump was also required to pay interest on the other penalties, bringing the total amount to $454 million. Engoron claimed Trump and each of the defendants participated in aiding and abetting the conspiracy to commit insurance fraud by their individual acts in falsifying business records and valuations. Letitia James brought $370 million in damages, and she won the lottery, according to Engoron, when there was no victim in this fraud case. She also sought to ban Trump and his sons from operating any business in New York. A judge ruled that President Trump could post a $175 million bond to cover Letitia James' $464 million judgments. Bailey stated publicly that he spoke with Judge Engoron 3 weeks before the decision, advising him to get it right. Although Engoron has denied any influence from Bailey, the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct is reportedly investigating whether Engoron violated judicial conduct rules. Quote, I actually had the ability to speak to him 3 weeks ago, Bailey told NBC New York on February 16th. I saw him in the corner at the courthouse, and I told my client I need to go. I walked over and we started talking. I want him to know what I think and why I really want him to get it right. Bailey maintains he has no personal connection to any lawsuits involving Trump and is not a fan of the former president. So that's not influential at all. When a friend of yours comes over and says, get it right, he claims to advise Engoron that ruling imposing such a substantial fine could damage New York's economy. Yeah, sure. I was trying to tell him not to do it. Bailey also mentioned that Engoron had a lot of questions, about certain cases during their conversation. No, we don't know. What does that mean? What does that mean? In response, Engoron's spokesperson Al Baker vehemently denied any impropriety, stating that no ex parte conversation concerning this matter occurred between Justice Engoron and Mr. Bailey or any other person. Really? The decision Justice Engoron issued on February 16th was his alone. There was no conversation at all. He claimed that's not what Bailey says. That's why there's an investigation. Deeply considered wholly uninfluenced by this individual. So Joe wanted you to be aware of that. Love my hat. She got her hat. She finally got her hat. What's the show? Thank you to fans, Marty and Spirit for offering to pay customs, and to Joe to making them deliver my hat. You're very welcome. When I saw the picture of you wearing the hat, it made me really happy. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. What was I at? Okay. Got this story covered. Oh man, I shouldn't have undone. I can't delete these things. I've been deleting stuff, and I realized I need to share these links on my thing. Okay. We have a really good. Royal we is much easier than Joe. Third person Joe. Joe's got a really good, really funny thing to end with, which we're gonna save for the closing. It's pretty funny. It made me laugh out loud. But before I get to that, before Joe goes there, you need to listen to this woman who's obviously a deep intellectual, claiming, this is totally off topic from anything that we've covered on this show in a while. This is a woman claiming that there's no such thing as transraciality, and it's very different from transsexuality, and trying to explain to you why there's no such thing as transraciality, but there is transsexuality. And when Joe saw this, he was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. But listen to the word salad from this woman here. Just listen to the word salad.
Well, first of all, I agree with you that that what Rachel Dolezal did and what white people do who want.
Rachel Dolezal, in case you're unfamiliar with the name, which many of you probably are, became like a leader of the NAACP and was the whitest looking woman you ever saw. And people started looking into her and realizing, yeah, that woman's completely white and claiming that she's black, which got a lot of people outraged at her. And then the question became, well, why can't she be transracial? So that's why this individual here, who I have no idea if this individual is trans, is not, I don't know. It looks like an old white woman. But maybe it's an old white man. I don't know what this is. But this individual here is clearly an intellectual. He's going to explain to you why there's no such thing as transraciality. Well, obviously, there's something very real about transsexuality.
To capitalize on cross-racial definition, identification is completely objectionable. But
that's completely objectionable. There's no such thing as that.
They're not exactly parallel. As I was just saying, gender is formed.
Gender is formed.
It's very complicated. Race as a category, race as a classification has a different history. And anybody who works in intersectional feminism would know.
Well, it's got a different history than people who throughout history have grown up as being male or female. Even if they were transvestites or engaged in homosexuality, that doesn't mean they became women or women became men.
Know that you don't tell the history of gender in the exact same way you tell the history of race. You
choose not to. That's why you choose not to.
Look to see how these categories are intersecting in specific sites. And
what was that? StreamYard wasn't happy with me for a second.
But I don't think that they are parallel, because I don't even accept the idea that you just arbitrarily announce what your gender is. There's a formation process there.
Says who? That formation could be implemented upon you by society. Society could be pushing you toward it. And here's the point on that, which frankly Joe's never mentioned to you before. They talk about how society, and just ponder this for a second. They tell you that society is has always been pushing biological males to be men and biological females to be women, and that somehow gender is different, and that society is forcing them that way. So what are they recommending instead? Let's push little kids into being the opposite of what they are. So you're telling me, on the one hand, you're saying this is how someone is born. That this is a person born in the wrong body. On the other hand, you're saying that society is able to influence people into becoming gender A versus becoming gender B beyond their biology, that society can have that influence on them. These are two arguments this is their own argument, which is contradicting itself. It's a snake eating its own tail. It's either true or it's not true that society is having an influence on someone's predisposition towards identifying as being male or female. It's either false or it's true. Does society have that impact or not? The presupposition of the T community is that the reason we haven't seen this for ages and ages is because society has suppressed it by pushing people into being this, into being what their genitalia was, and conforming to their own genitalia. But this has always been going on. Always, 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 always. So, and people have been miserable because they haven't matured into the individual that they were supposed to be. Because society was influencing them. So what you're saying is society has that impact. So now instead, you're taking little kids and having a societal impact of trying to push them into becoming the opposite of what they are based on the fact that it's a boy who likes pink. And then when they grow up and say, oh yeah, I really am a girl, that basically now it's not that society has pushed them into that, that's them finding their own way, going through the process that this individual is describing here, going through the process. They're going through a process, they didn't go through a process, they went through programming. That's what they went through. They went through your programming. That's what they went through. They're a victim of your programming.
But racial identification is so intensely a matter of interpolation, like how you have been born into the world in and through a set of racial categories and formed as part of a community.
Why is that not also part of society influence?
Or part of a demographic classification, how you've been treated, how your self-understanding emerges. So we need to tell the specific history of that in order to understand why what Donizal did was so inappropriate and wrong. And she wasn't, I think when this question gets posed in this way, it assumes like, oh, I'm just going to choose a new sex because I'm going to get some kind of publicity for this, like a fully voluntaristic notion. So I neither think of trans reassignment or self-definition as radically arbitrary, and nor do I think it is possible or right for that to happen, that for that particular kind of voluntaristic self-interested claim on blackness. I don't think that's ever justified. She didn't have that history. She didn't come into the world that way. She has not been interpolated. She has not lived through the history of that interpolation in the way that Black people actually have. And that's a violation of that history.
Violation of history. Who knew there was such a thing as historical justice? I guess there is. Violation of history. Okay. And my response to this is, if someone can be transsexual, then it's certainly possible to be transracial. And the reason that's so evident is think about the differences between a black man and a white man. What are the biological differences between a black man and a white man? Are there differences? Obviously, the melanin is going to be a little different. But you look at the entire spectrum of black people, you pick a random black man, a random white man, what are the biological differences? There can be some. Now compare the differences between a black man, the biological differences between a black man and a black woman. Who's more similar? And it's obvious. It is obvious that a black man is a lot closer towards having the same biology as a white man than a black woman. It's not even close. It's not even close. Whether you look at the chemicals in their brain, you look at their genitalia, look at the frame of their body, look at everything about them. Everything about them. They're infinitely, the biological similarities between a black person and a white person are so much closer than someone from the same race of a different gender. It's not even close. It is like thousands of times more similar within gender versus across race than it is within race across genders. That's just reality. That's just reality. So to say that someone's able to ignore their biology to become something else, if it can happen, if transsexuality has any feasibility whatsoever, which I respectfully submit it does not, but it's someone who's embracing a position that it can happen, then from that perspective, the concept of transraciality is obviously far more appropriate because it's far less of a transition. It's a far smaller transition. So, I wanted to just get that out. I want to get that thought out to you all. We're going to do the Nathan Wade interview, which I promised I was going to do. And then I'm going to close out with the funniest thing I saw this week. The funniest thing Joe saw this week. The interview is relatively short. It's under 10 minutes. That means it's probably going to take me like 20 minutes to go through it. And Joe has not yet seen this. Joe has not yet seen this. And by the way, anyone tells Joe that Joe's wrong about the biological differences, you're a racist then. You're a racist. If you don't realize how genetically similar men are to each other across races compared to their similarities to women within their own race, you're a freaking racist. You have to be like out of your mind and completely denying obvious, like well accepted science. There we go.
ABC News exclusive with former Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, who is breaking his silence after being forced to step down from a historic prosecution of former President Trump because of his romantic relationship with DA Fani Willis. In our wide-ranging interview, Wade talks about what he does and does not regret and where the case goes from here. What do you want people to know?
I want people to know the real me.
So there are those
I think we know the real you. I think we know the real you.
who say you weren't qualified for this case. How do you respond?
I respond by saying, let's give it some color. I defended murder.
That was totally a word he chose on purpose.
Rapes, armed robbers.
You defended murderers, rapes, armed robbers. I don't think that's true. You certainly didn't prosecute.
Molesters, mostly criminal cases that dealt with high stakes, including life. The picture that was being painted, that there was no experience, is just not an accurate one.
How many felonies did you ever prosecute?
You and Fani meet in 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the
Where was the follow-up question to that? Where was the follow-up question?
extent of your relationship prior to November 1st of 2021?
We met at a judges conference. We stayed professional friends for quite a bit of time thereafter. Started to pick up a little bit when COVID started. We began to spend inordinate amounts of time communicating during the course of the investigation, nights, weekends.
No one else spending nights. No one else was spending nights and weekends.
Evenings, mornings.
Evenings into mornings.
I can't tell you how much time that we spent together. We got
This evenings is helping. This is helping. This is really helping.
closer and closer and closer. Workplace romances are as American as apple pie. It happens to everyone. But
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Not to married people. No, it doesn't. Happens all the time. You're married. God, this guy's so gross. He is so gross. Happens all the No.
it happened to the two of us.
Do you regret it?
What about the fact that you had a relationship before you were hired, though? What about that part? What about the fact that you were spending... He's saying we spent nights, weekends, and nights into mornings and all this other... Like, what are you talking about? You were with her at 4 o'clock in the morning? At 7 in the morning? What does that mean? Nights, mornings? What the heck are you talking about? What are you talking about? 10,000, how many thousands of messages did they send each other? How many phone calls they were averaging? 30 messages a day, from what I recall. 30 messages a day in the year before he had a relationship with her, before his admitted relationship with her. 30 messages a day for months and months and months. Please. He's spending nights and days. Yeah, that's before he even was hired. That's the problem. Workplace romances.
I regret that private matter became the focal point of this very important prosecution.
Very important prosecution. For whose career? That's what makes it important. It's for someone's career, it's important prosecution. I regret that I got bounced out for it. I regret that. That part sucked.
I hate that my personal life has begun to overshadow.
Well, do you hate the fact that you had to lie in the stand?
The true issues in the case.
But at some point, once that bond is there, and...
At what point is this bond? Are you going to ask him about the thousands of text messages he was sending her before they had a quote-unquote relationship? As with their bond? Or why don't you ask him this question? How about, why didn't you just release all of your text messages to the judge to show them how innocuous they were and that they were not remotely romantic? Why didn't you do that? Ask him that question. What's your name? I don't know what your name is.
If democracy is on the line, as has been described,
Democracy.
you say, maybe...
Democracy is on the line. Democracy is on the line. What does that phrase even mean? I just pause and think for a second. What does that even mean? What does democracy is on the line? Do they think that this is the end of... First of all, I mean, I understand that they're under this deluded perspective that we live in a democracy. But even if you think you believe that we're living in a democracy, do you think that they really believe that if Trump gets in there, there's no more elections, that there's going to be martial law, democracy is over? Like, what do they envision is actually going to happen on January 21st, 2025? What happens that day? That democracy has ended. Democracy's on the line.
we pause this until after the case is over?
Absolutely. I'll concede that could have been an approach, but when you are in the middle of it, these feelings are developing, and you get to a point to where the feelings are so strong that you start to want to do things that really are none of the public's concern. It wasn't lost upon the two of us that things could bleed over into the case and start to affect it, and so we made the adult-like decision to do what we did.
Do what we did.
What
What do you mean by that?
In terms of protecting the integrity of the case, keeping the rest of the office out of our personal and private lives, and
violating our ethics, our code of ethics. That's what we had to do that. We had to do that to save the case. We had to violate our ethics. Her ethical duties to report all the gifts that I was giving her.
the point that we decided
He's so noble.
to
He's so
discontinue,
noble.
the relationship, we did.
But it's my understanding that the relationship ended not because you were worried about it bleeding over, but you all just had differences of the value of a male and female in a relationship, that kind of thing, that you ultimately started having some heated conversations. But correct me if I'm...
See, okay, this is really interesting. This is what's so baffling about this reporter, whose name I have no idea what it is. What's so utterly baffling, okay, is that she clearly has a greater understanding as to how their relationship ultimately disintegrated, because everyone says it did disintegrate well before it was exposed by Ashley Merchant, months, if not a year before, I don't know, but certainly months before Ashley Merchant exposed it. What led to that disintegration? I didn't know anything about it. All of a sudden, she's talking about how they have differences. What was that? So this is inside information this reporter has. There's information everybody has that she's not asking him about. Everyone has all these things. They know all about the texts and the phone calls and the ridiculous volume thereof. They know all about the fact that he's the only one who's ever going to her apartment before he's hired. Abby Cross is never going there. They know all about the block billing and all that other stuff. That's not what she's asking about. She's asking about the disintegration of the relationship, which she seems to have a much greater background understanding of that. That's how ABC News is revealing that we're completely slanted and we have a particular direction we want to go, because we have all the access to information. We just don't want to ask this person about it. Or at least if we did, we're not going to share it with the public.
Relationship ended not because you were worried about it bleeding over, but you all just had differences of the value of a male and female in a relationship, that kind of thing, that you ultimately started having some heated conversations. But correct me if I'm wrong.
It sounds like they were like practically coming to blows the way she describes it. The value of a male and a female relationship, which it almost makes it come across as if she thinks he's a misogynist. That's the first take I have here. That she thinks I have to stand beside this misogynist because he went after Trump. So I had to stand with him, but I think he's gross for being a misogynist. That's what I'm getting from this woman's question.
Was there a point that you all stopped because you said, this is inappropriate, this could impact the integrity of the case?
Okay, that's a lot there. So
first chat.
we didn't have heated
Fine.
conversations to the extent that we were at odds and arguing about the
Oh my God.
inherent roles of...
Well, you know.
I just gotta pause. I didn't know what the heck he was hitting me with. Martina Big, the only true transracial person. She was declared black in Africa, started as a blonde German woman. Worth looking up her today. What the heck? What the heck? Maleka Kuba changed her name in 2018. Oh my God. You say I have to check out the voice? We're going to pause. And now I have to.
You described yourself back then as a beautiful girl. So if you were a beautiful girl, why do this?
you trying to say? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? What is that question? What do you mean by your question? The question's really obvious. Are you saying I'm not beautiful? What does that mean? Oh my gosh, that was so good. I never heard of this individual 3 minutes ago, and now it's like I'm already dying here.
You described yourself back then as a beautiful girl. So if you were a beautiful girl, why do this?
Yeah, I like my body from the beginning and to now every step. But like the boys, like their brand new car, they like to work on it. And if they see, wow, nice results, let's find this piece, and so tuning is a little bit more than expected.
Well, there's work in progress. A lot of
Wow. Barracuda. This is the rabbit hole you drag me down. I'm getting yanked down this. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like Ron Weasley being pulled by my foot by Sirius Black as a dog. Oh my gosh. Where are you dragging me? Where are you dragging me? What is happening here?
A lot of body work going on, that's for sure. 24 procedures. What aside from the obvious, what have you had done?
Also, when we last met, I was much smaller. Also, actually, I have 7,100 cc each. But not only my skin color changed. Also, in meanwhile, also I've realized that my eye color has changed, my eyebrow color has changed, and also my regrowing hairs are more black, and more darker, and going curly.
So we should.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Can we get back to Nathan Wade? I gotta go back to Nathan Wade. I'm going back to Nathan Wade. God, that was good. That was really good. Oh, that was so good. Should I try to find her before she's white? I don't want to go through the whole Murray. That was her. Wow. That was her. Unbelievable. Okay. Let's go back to Nathan Wade. Poor victim Nathan Wade.
No, I mean, Fonnie said on the witness stand, like, oh, according to Mr. Wade, the only thing a woman can do is make me a sandwich, right? I mean, and she said she's the one who
is that where she got it from? I didn't remember her saying that.
Described it as heated conversation.
She said that, you know, listen, if I made a statement like that, certainly it was in jest. I respect women.
So just give me a sense of the timeline as far as when the romance actually started and then once it stopped.
So early 2022 to late 2023 is the time frame.
So it's 4 months ago, or 6 months ago.
What people don't see and don't know is that we continue to have a very close relationship. We are friends.
No one cares about that. No one gives a damn. You're saying people don't see. No one cares about it. Seriously. No one cares whether you're dating her now or not.
A Washington Post columnist wrote, "What were they thinking? How could two seasoned attorneys embroiled in the prosecution of a former president start a romance and not see this trouble coming a mile away?" And so what were you thinking in that moment?
You don't plan to develop feelings. You don't plan to fall in love. You don't plan to have some
helpless school
relationship in the workplace. You don't set out to do that, and those things develop organically. They develop over time. And the minute we had that sobering moment, we discontinued it.
January 8th, a motion is brought that reveals that there's been this relationship. At that time, the relationship was over, correct? The romantic aspect of the relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
What was going through your mind on that day when it suddenly becomes, I know you've said before it wasn't a secret, but now it does become public?
Where is the relevance here? How does
This is an attorney asking, where's the relevance here?
this in any way affect the prosecution of those charged in the election?
It affects them in that they never would have been charged, not for the fact that she was trying to get money into your pocket so you can take her on various trips across the world. That's how it affects her. Because this is no longer about trying to get justice, it's a matter of trying to enrich your pockets so you can become her sugar daddy. Next.
Interference case.
So for 25 days, we didn't hear from you or District Attorney Willis. Why not come forward? At that point, you're a public servant, right? Getting paid from the state of Georgia. Why not say, okay, we'll make a statement, we'll get on top of this, we'll get ahead of this?
Let me say this. My conversation here with you today is just that. It's Nathan's conversation. I do not speak for the district attorney's office. I do not speak for their position. As a matter of fact, I'm certain that they would rather me not be having this exchange with you.
So you said you didn't want to violate the public's trust. I'm curious, do you think that you've done any kind of damage to this case?
None at all. None at all.
None at all! None at all! Nothing at all! Oh, in case you missed it, Georgia Appellate Court said, we're going to be reviewing the decision by Judge McAfee and see whether or not Fannie Willis can stay in here. I've done no damage at all. None at all. Why would anyone even think such a thing? None at all. He's law partners with a guy who doesn't know where a guy who oversees taint and has no idea what's confidential or where privilege attaches.
Perception of it.
My private life became the focal point of the case. And my private life has nothing to do with
This dude's never going to
merits
learn.
of that
He's never going to
prosecution.
learn.
Donald Trump now is trying to get the judge's decision overruled. We'll find out in a week or so if Fannie Willis gets to stay on the case. Do you feel, as we sit here today, that this case is in jeopardy?
Because that issue is before the Court of Appeals currently, my goal is to protect the integrity of the process. I don't want to say anything that's going to jeopardize that, but Nathan Wade does not feel that the case is in any way in jeopardy.
So you
Not in any way. Not in any way. Oh, this case is stronger than ever. Stronger than ever.
didn't realize when you took the case, your life was really going to be under a microscope.
Maybe that's part of the inexperience of having ever prosecuted a case in your life, that you think that this case is in no way in jeopardy.
I did not realize that my life would be in danger. The microscope, I don't have a problem with.
In danger?
You're just like the rest of us
Why is
on
your
the
life in
outside
danger?
looking in. I'm curious if you think that Donald Trump will be convicted.
I believe and stand behind every bit of the work that was done while I was the special prosecutor on the case. And I believe that, there's going to be that day of reckoning where Fulton County jury there in Fulton County, Georgia, would have to make that decision.
What do you think is the greatest
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, that day's not coming. That day is not coming. I don't think a Fulton County jury is ever going to be impaneled.
Conception about you.
Issue surrounding my divorce. It's a difficult.
You lied and said that you were divorced 5 years ago, and you're still married today. I think I'm pretty sure he's still legally married today.
Thing to watch and to hear, watch and listen to your life play out before the American public inaccurately.
Ultimately, as we sit here today, do you feel you've done anything wrong?
Oh, wow. I don't feel as though I've done anything wrong.
Yeah. This is your biggest problem. This is your biggest problem. This dude refuses. There's zero accountability. Zero.
I feel like I have been, I guess,
I'm a martyr.
In my silence, I've been treated a bit unfairly, a bit harshly.
He's a martyr.
Wow, the sky's the limit. I love the dynamics of the courtroom, but I'm also a people person. I enjoy people, and right now, I think it is just incumbent upon me to unplug, get away from all of it until I can clear my mind. And
you know what's next for him? What's next for him is, do you want fries with that? That's what's next for him.
Make some rational decisions about next
That's what's next for this
steps.
lawyer.
Our thanks to Nathan Wade for the conversation. Some defendants in the case have taken pleas. Others, including Donald Trump, have entered pleas of not guilty. ABC News.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That's what's next for him. Is, do you want fries with that? All right. I think that's our show. Let me see if there was anything else that popped up here. I promised I was going to check. I'm good there. Does it start over? You follow 78 about the 78. That's a great question. Does it start over? Does it start over? It doesn't start over. It doesn't start over. It just complicates it. And it's already very complicated, as you've already heard me describe, that I'm having a conversation with a clerk and we can't even figure out whether he's talking about the Article 78 or the motion. Now I'm going to throw in the second Article 78. It just convolutes it. Could it push it forward? I don't know. Honestly, you know what would push it forward? If there was just friggin' news coverage like crazy about this case. If there was friggin' news coverage like crazy about this case, that would push it forward. That would get this thing moved along. Hopefully, you'd think it would get it moved along. And it's sad that there cannot be any news coverage about this case. That there's next to no news coverage about this case. But if the media was talking about this on a regular basis, if the media was covering how ridiculously the procedural elements are, the fact that there is no NICEF number, the fact that we can't get a date, the fact that the number that everything just gets pushed out, that we couldn't get a reply in, and then we got a reply, everything just getting pushed out. We can't even get a return date as to when, can't even be told when our return date is. That all of this, that all of that would come to a relatively abrupt end if there was some expose about what's going on with this clerk's office and their efforts to try and hide this from the public. And I can't get nobody to talk about this. Nobody. You guys are. But I'm saying my audience here is collectively such a tiny portion of the world and of the New York region. It has, as much as I love you guys and you're amazing, your support, there's a difference when someone's talking to 2,000 people or 10,000 people versus talking to 100,000 people or 1 million people. It's a massive difference. There's a massive difference. So, yeah, there was news story after news story about how ridiculous this process is. Even 3 or 4 of them. It gets things moving. It gets things moving. And the idea that I have to potentially slow down the case or convolute the case even further than it's already convoluted by bringing another Article 78 in order to get that attention is just, it's crazy to me. It's very, very frustrating. It's really frustrating. I'm just trying to get this thing rectified. That's all I'm looking for. It's very, very frustrating. Master Phillips hitting me with another 10. Another 10. Whoa, that's not right. That's what Master Phillips earns. That's what Master Phillips. He and Bella Stella, my 2 heads of recruitment. 2 heads of recruitment into the following. Let's see who joined the following. Let's see who just joined the following. We need to know. We need to know who joined the following. This is taking a long time to load. There it is. M.E. Don Goff. Hey, Don Goff, you got in. I saw Don Goff in Robert Gavea's chat earlier today. Will Reed, Caleb Reynolds, Glenn Croy, Mr. Otterpocket, Stephanie, Nojabski, and Just Joy and Proxy Loxy, all you gifted memberships to the following, as Nojabski is probably aware the following is not at all a cult type of cult. It's not remotely a cult type of cult. There's no self-harm, no harming others, no stabbing yourself with the jabby jab, no Kool-Aid, no spaceships, no tracksuits that are mandatory, mild farm work, no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, no throwing virgins into volcanoes, no dancing around bonfires while shucking off clothing to the beat of a steady tom-tom. No sticking your head through doors screaming, "Here's Johnny." And absolutely no trainers. It's really just about community unity, leadership training, and personal growth. And of course, yours truly is not the leader of the following. Not the leader of the following at all. Just a host, a simple, everyday host. I'm just a host. Joe is just a host, Stop saying Joe's the leader. And I noticed a few more people out there saying, "Oh, Joe's totally the leader." No, Joe is not the leader. Say it with me. Joe is not the leader of the following. And finally, we have some news from New York that I wanted to share with you. A little explanation from New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Close this out. Close out with this tonight. Close out with this video, which honestly I thought was the funniest thing I saw this week. This was the funniest thing I saw all week. This is just amazing. This is something. You're gonna thank me. You're gonna thank me. Kathy Hochul here talking about the struggles of being a black person.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges. Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
Here, Governor Kathy Hochul, most racist person on earth. Most racist person on earth. Oh my God. So racist. So utterly racist. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that was just genius. Just genius. So good. JC says, check locals chat server for ending. Check locals chat. Oh, yeah. Forgot to get this from from Worcestershire saying, by the way, Joe, did your grandchildren scribble on your visa? My grandchildren never saw your visa. No. No, my grandchildren did not scribble on the visa. No, okay. What am I supposed to be? Tell them you'll call the ACLJ. You have 3,000 people live, 2,000 on Rumble, and 1K on YouTube. That's more than enough. The ACLJ has been useless. Utterly useless. I called the ACLJ. I emailed the ACLJ. They rejected me. Then someone sends me a thing, someone saying like, hey, the ACLJ says, we're not really aware of this. You sent me a friggin' rejection. You sent me a rejection. Now I get confused. I'm not going to kid you. Between all these different acronyms, one of them is Secula's, one of them is Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes has tried. He's tried to help get other big name persons involved. Maybe I need to do more Twitter Spaces. I've been talking with Nick Sorter about starting a Twitter Spaces and discussing it. He seems interested in it. He seems to get larger crowds. Maybe I can get Mario Nawful to do it. I'd honestly love to get on Twitter Spaces with Mark Randazza, Jonathan Turley, Alan Dershowitz, have them explain to me why it is that they're not supporting this. Why are you not friggin' supporting this? Why are you not pushing this forward? Why are you not writing articles about it so people hound the appellate division and say, why are you slow walking this? Why is this being slow walked? Get this thing finalized and make a decision one way or another. That's essentially, I mean, it seems so. Yeah, enough 100 people call. Maybe. Where's the ACLJ? Where's Secular? Where are they? Where the heck are they? Don't tell me they don't know about this. It's crap. I don't know if there's politics behind this. I don't know if they don't like my work. I have no idea. I have no idea. Could be either. I don't know what to tell you. This is what I know. I'm literally putting everything out there to I put my name out there. I put my company out there. I put in the hours and hours, dozens of hours, I don't know, probably hundreds of hours by now in trying to get this relief done. I've run to court. I've tried reaching out. I've tried publicizing, start up a give, send, go. I'm finding myself attorneys. I don't know. There's nothing else. I know. I'm literally exhausting any way possible to help get this thing processed and completed and brought to a successful resolution in a timely fashion. And with the exception of a handful of attorneys here on the right, literally gotten squat, nothing. A lot of hand wringing of, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. It's so unconstitutional. Literally squat. And it's like, I've already asked. So I'm supposed to beg, say, please help me, please help me, please help me. Why the hell am I supposed to be begging them? This is not a matter of pride. Like, I have no reason to think they're going to change their minds. What am I supposed to do? So I pitch out there, givesendgo.com/Ungag Trump. What do you want me to do? Should I pay for a PR thing? What am I supposed to do? I've been talking to Ron Brody. I was like, I said, I hold press conference. I just don't know if there'd be two reporters to show up there. Yeah, if Jonathan Turley was standing next to me, there would be. Alan Dershowitz was standing there would be. What am I supposed to tell you? I know you mean well. I'm not upset with any of you. Butlerian, Jihad. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, the whole big name attorney thing. I've tried. I don't know what to do with this anymore. I'm not going back to the same people who told me no and asked them again. That didn't make no sense. There's got to be something else. I'll tell you right now. I've gotten very, become very disillusioned. Even an answer of no, I'm not going along with this because of X, Y, Z. That's an answer. That's something. Then I understand, but just my whole mood got ruined out of this. I was ending with a funny thing. Oh, mood got ruined out of this. I'm not upset with any of you. I'm just maybe I don't know. Making sure YouTube update videos showing your hidden docs in the court site to share out. Yeah. Even have to fight to get a reply in. I have to fight to get a reply in. The opposition's my motion. Please trust me and say number and make the request. What number? Make what request? I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep pressing on this. I'm simply saying, trying to get support from XYZ. Where the hell's Blaze TV? I got someone here telling me, you have no idea how many different ways I've been trying to get this thing properly publicized. No, you have no idea. I mean, I give you some sort of general things. Diamond and Silk said they want to have an interview with me. All right. I'd love to appear. I haven't said no to anyone. Anyone who's asked me to talk about it, I haven't said no to anyone. Now, I missed that email. I actually got back to them first yesterday. They emailed 3 days ago, and I got back to them yesterday. I haven't heard back from them. I don't know what the story is. If you're familiar with Diamond and Silk, I actually was a fan of them going back before 2016. I think one of them died. I'll pull up here in my, as far as people have reached out to me. Okay. I was hoping to get Mar-a-Lago. Can't get any response there. No idea. Who's this? Yeah. I was told that someone from the Epoch Times was supposed to be doing a whole long thing on me. That never happened. He was supposed to be reaching out to me 5 days ago. Blaze TV, I was told to reach out to this guy, Steve Baker. I don't know. He said he disagreed with me. He thought that more people have been gagged in the past. I'm like, that's not true. When I walked him through the distinctions, he never looked back in my box. But it's just it's so difficult. It's so difficult. It's very easy to complain. It's very easy for people to complain. Anyway, I don't know how to get a hold of Glenn Beck. I don't know how to get a hold of any of these talking heads like Tucker Carlson, these bigger people. No idea. No idea. But I don't want to hear that, Tim Pool doesn't know that I'm doing this. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. For one reason or another, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm going to do. The marketing is not my skill. I suck at marketing. If I didn't suck at marketing after being on here for 2.5 years and streaming out Depth Fee Heard, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Rittenhouse, and I'm still sitting here on the $100,000 subscribers on YouTube. To me, that's a message that, look, when it comes to the marketing end of things, you kind of suck at this. It's just not my forte. This is not my forte. So, anyway, I'm going to keep pressing on the legal end. I'll keep pushing. fighting and fighting and try to get this done as soon as I possibly can. As soon as I possibly can. It'd be really nice. Perhaps it can be done timely if people will intercede. But I've done everything I can. I know you jumped in the pool race. They know you don't have to help you to get into the pool. Just march forward. Okay. I am marching forward. I'm not going to stop. No one should take anything from anything I said. Read your locals. What did you say to my locals? Oh, yeah, your locals where you said, you asked me, by the way, Joe Namath, did your grandchildren scribble on my visa? I've never seen your, I haven't seen your visa. I've not seen your visa, was the shot. No. But I certainly didn't give it to me. I didn't know there was scribbling on it. There was scribbling on your visa? Yeah, Robert Barnes has been, Elliot said in response to a question I had, Barnes was all for having Ron Baruti on with Viva Fry. Yeah, that's a great idea. That'd be nice. He'll do well. He'll do well. Any of suggestions as to how to conduct a press conference and actually get 2 members of the media to show up? I'm so bad at this. I was standing by a pit of media and couldn't figure out how to get any of them to listen to me as I tried to explain that I'm suing Judge Merchan. I don't know, maybe I walk up there and say, I have a lawsuit against Judge Merchan to ungag Trump. Ask me about my lawsuit. This was walk around like a homeless person with a massive sign. Ask me about my lawsuit against Judge Merchan for his unconstitutional gag order. That's what I should do. Go up there on Monday. Ask me about my lawsuit. Maybe that is what I need to do. Big sign. The next. I look like some homeless person. Joe, try putting meshes in Dershowitz YouTube channel. Also, wish I had your success with my GSG that you had. I'll message all I can for you. I'm saying is that it wasn't because of me. That was because of the cause that it is, and that people who are like you and me, not big names, they actually care about this. You need a boost from PJ Media, Cat Turd, Elon Blaze. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I actually sent Cat Turd a super chat about my thing. Nothing. Nothing back. Didn't even read it. He was live streaming. I sent him a super chat. Nothing. Yeah, but that's exactly what I need. Precisely. I can't get anywhere near him. They can't. I can't get anywhere near him. Anywhere. Anywhere. Joe, Eric Hunley somehow has connections to Jonathan Coe, a great journalist, and Jason Rance, who has national connections. Talk to Eric, hang in there. It gets rough fighting in the court system. Rooting for you. Thank you, Janelle. And I owe you a hat still. He has connections to Jonathan Coe, a great journalist, and Jason Rance. I don't know those individuals. I can ask him about his connections, and I'll mention your super chat. I'll try to remember that tomorrow. I'm supposed to be on with him tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. It's frustrating. I am frustrated. I think you all can see. It's less frustrating because I have Ron working with me. Ron Baruti actually has taken a lot of the just having someone go through the experience with me. It just sort of changes it, where it's, instead of me sort of, it's almost like until he was there, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I just imagine that I'm suing Judge Bush. This is all like a figment of my imagination. I can't prove it. I can't prove it's real. There's nothing to touch here. There's nothing to touch. Yeah. I like the idea of putting out a video and showing how this is the first filing we received from the court, back from the court. The first officially stamped filing from the clerk of the court. That's something. That's something, with my caption on it. So that is something. It gives, perhaps I'll give more legs to it. Megan knows people? I don't know. This really is it. What Ellie said earlier. PJ Media captured Elon Blaze. Yeah. Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan. Yeah. Real people, Ben Shapiro. People who actually have been, you know, that everyone, that are genuinely famous. All right. I'll look into, like, maybe I'll start send a tweet out, a little screenshot from that, just to get things started on that. We'll see. I'm constantly brainstorming with Ron how to get this more attention, because what the court wants is for this to be suppressed, and what the right seems to be doing is saying, "Oh, okay, let's suppress it." The court wants it suppressed, and it seems as if every big name on the right is like, "Yeah, that's totally fine with suppressing that. We don't need that to come out." Donald Trump is weeks behind me with his Article 78 application, looking for the same basis as ours is. I don't know, but for all I know, he stole my papers. But he's just 2 weeks behind me, which means on scheduling, he's going to be 2 weeks behind me. I'd be happy for him to, like, join in with me. Anyway, well, I am going to keep fighting, not slowing down. I'm not slowing down. I've lost no steam. I bristle about the big names on the right who have been useless. That's what I bristle about, because it does get me annoyed, because it feels as if a lot of these problems I'm dealing with I should not be dealing with, and would less likely be dealing with if I got an iota of help, of assistance, of publicity from them. So for that, I'm resentful. I am resentful for that. I'm not getting an iota of support to get this out of the shadows that the court is desperately trying to keep this in. So that makes me feel resentful. It makes me feel as if it makes me question the legitimacy of their actual interest in remedying the situation. I mean, I'm like, why would you not at least talk to me and vet out whether or not I'm full of crap? Or whether or not there might be something real here. Why not give me the 3 minutes, 5 minutes, have a conversation with me, see whether I'm insane or actually fairly intelligent and capable of getting this thing done. Vet it out. You're screaming about it all the time. Vet it out. Zero effort to vet it out. Zero effort to listen or to consider it. It's just like, so okay. You'd be a big macher there, screaming about how terrible everything is and doing jag squat about it. So basically, my perspective is, to hell with them. I don't care. I'll keep fighting. People will help, or people will sit on the sidelines whining like little bitches. You're either in it or you're not. You guys are all in it. You guys are all jumping in and supporting it. But a lot of these big names, you're useless. You're useless criers. You're town criers doing nothing. Town criers while other people are on the battle lines. Yay. You're just much more famous town criers. Not all of them. Like I said, I threw out the names of people who are like Robert Barnes. It's been amazing. It's been really good. really fighting hard to like try and get some publicity here. Robert Gouveia spent hours working through it. Viva Fry. Pretty much the whole LawTube sphere has been amazing. Certainly the ones who I communicate with regularly. Everyone outside of this sphere, where are you? Where are you? Where are you, Blaze TV? Where are you, Ben Shapiro? Where are you, Jonathan Turley, Alan Dershowitz, Jay Sekulow? Where are you? Where are you? To at least glance it over. I don't know. I have questions. With that, I'm gonna keep fighting. It's not about getting approval from the powers that be, whether the powers that be are in government or big voices on my side of the aisle. It's a matter of actually trying to get something done, and that's what I'm going to keep plowing forward, trying to get done. And with your help, hopefully, and with your help, and honestly, realistically, it's ultimately in the hands of God, completely in His hands. With God's help, we'll get this thing done. Tomorrow I'm going to be on Layback Law. Saturday night I'm going to be doing a reading of the Stormy Daniels testimony, and I'll keep you all updated. goodlogic.locals.com. Anything that happens with this case, publicity-wise, procedurally wise, or anything else, I will keep you all updated with respect to how that's developing. The first and most likely place you'll find it is goodlogic.locals.com. Please make sure you check out there while you're here. Like and subscribe. Kisses. No matter what they tell you, do not eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Good night and Godspeed.